Hello, testing. Is this thing on? Yo, welcome to the Shady Monkey Show. Big shout out to our sponsor, Oriental Distilling Company, making the best gin in China. We have a special guest.
How's it going, guys?
Good, dude. Rajiv, right? Nori?
Yeah, Rajiv Nori, yeah.
Nori is an Indian name?
Indian surname, South Indian.
South Indian.
Yeah, South Indian, yeah. My family is mostly all South Indian.
Nice,
right?
Dude. I love South Indian food.
Oh, man. It's some of the most comforting food I've ever eaten in my life. Yeah.
For sure, dude. Like, when I was telling you earlier that I went to India for a while.
Yeah.
I spent most of my time in the north, but I did go to south. I stayed in Mahabalipuram for like a week.
Oh, wow. Okay, nice.
Fucking beautiful place, you know? Like, my family came to visit, and we wanted to just kind of do a trip around the country. Yeah. So we stayed in Mahabalipuram for a while.
So I know where that is. I know what that is. I have unfortunately never been there.
You've never been there?
Yeah, I've been to like various other cities in the south, like of course Chennai, Bangalore, Mysore, and like small other like villages in between and places where my family lives. Thank you.
Yeah, dude.
Unfortunately, I've never been to Mahabalipuram, so I've been to other like places like in between like Maharashtra and like Karnataka or Tamil Nadu, I think. I forgot the exact states, but like one of them was called Gulbarga, I think. But like the specific place was called Ganagapura. But there's like a specific temple that my mom wanted to take me to. But I've never been to Mahabalipuram. I haven't been to Kerala, and that's something I really want to do, is go. But not with anybody, by myself.
Are you guys like Krishna devotees?
Yeah, so like that's a really good question. Because I've been getting into Hinduism again, probably as a function of like I think the world is over the pandemic, or at least I'm over the pandemic, and now I need religion in my life. People need something, I don't know, but like yeah, no, I've been getting into Hinduism again. My mom was telling me something interesting about Hinduism. She said it's monotheistic, and I was like, 3 million gods that would disagree with you, but
right.
You know, right? But she was telling me it's monotheistic because there are different schools of thought in Hinduism.
Right.
And she was...
first, cheers, dude.
Oh, cheers. Sorry.
All good, dude.
Cheers, man. That's delicious.
Well, you don't have the tonic, but... I mean, you don't have the gin.
Yep.
But the tonic's pretty good.
I'm easily pleased, man.
If you want more.
Though I may have like a smidge of gin later.
Okay. On the next round.
Break my fast a little bit.
Yeah, just splash a little bit.
Splash a little bit.
It's really good gin, man. And it's clean. And I always drink a lot of it.
Oriental Distilling, right?
Yeah, they're in Zhuhai.
Okay, nice.
So it's the guy who makes it's from Australia.
Okay.
So his family is like a distilling family of many generations.
Okay,
so
cool.
He decided to come to China and make gin.
Cool.
So
I've heard that name. I don't think I've ever had the pleasure of having any of their stuff. So
yeah, it's good stuff.
Looking forward to it a little bit.
The few of our guests that got knocked out.
Oh yeah, I hearing about that. Yeah. No names mentioned. I know who they are. But no, yeah, no.
Well, let's fucking go back to Hinduism because it's something that's close to me as well.
Yeah. Oh, you're telling me you lived in New Delhi for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
So I was like, so do you know the Hare Krishnas?
Yeah.
So I was born in a Hare Krishna family.
Oh, whoa, cool.
And,
okay. What was that experience like?
So it was like for me, it was mostly positive.
Yeah.
I had a lot of like friends and family that went through some very negative things, you know, not because of the religion or the philosophy, just because of like when Prabhupada died, like the organization. I don't know if you know who Prabhupada is.
I know a bit about it.
So like when he passed away, very corrupt people kind of took control of the organization, and they kind of became very dark. You know?
Cult-like?
Cult-like, yeah.
Okay.
And changing things based on whatever they're feeling at the moment.
Oh, so like using scripture to justify like.
I wouldn't even say they were using scripture to justify. They just kind of took a beautiful philosophy, you know, and just kind of corrupted it and changed it based on
their own needs,
what their own needs and feelings were, you know.
It's horrible.
So
that sounds A lot of different kinds of religious leaders do that, or people using religion to do that, and that's very unfortunate. Yeah.
But I think like the taking away the bad stuff, right? Because the Hare Krishnas have a lot of negative, negative history.
Yeah.
The core of religion and the Gita, and
The
it's
core
it's
of
really
it.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
So
Yeah. The Bhagavad Gita is like something that I have a copy now. So, and my mom was telling me. Sorry, I'll look away when I clear my throat. But my mom was telling me about Hinduism a lot. Yeah. She was telling me it was monotheistic because she said there are various schools of thought, and the school that she kind of feels most in line with is the idea that what you're seeing or what you're praying to isn't really its own static, like God. It's just a reflection of like one big whole. So if you pray to Shiva because you think Shiva is divine or holy, it's not really that Shiva is divine or holy. It's that's what you see. That's what you think is divine or holy, and that's what that aspect of divinity appears as to you.
sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I said that right. But yeah, that's what my mom believes. So I was like, that's very different from what I'm used to, because people played their family deities. There are different kinds of, in different regions you pray to different deities and stuff like that.
Yeah, like my parents, they still have their deities in our house in
Wow.
US, and we have our altar set up.
So did you read the Gita growing up?
Yeah, every day. It's like we went to a Gurukula.
Okay, yeah.
So like it was like half academic and half like reading Gita and learning how to do puja.
Nice.
You
Oh,
know?
wow.
So like it was like our life. Like we would go to like a Mongol Artik, which was like 4 in the morning or some shit.
Yeah, Mangalati, yeah.
And then like at 7 o'clock we would go back to the temple. Because it's like you wake up the deities, and then they get dressed, and then go back to the temple for their big reveal where they're in their day clothes. Right. And then after that, you go and get prasad, in the community setting where everybody
opens their hands, takes tirtham or prasadam and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, well, you have that. You have like the deities prasadam, where everyone gets like a little bit.
Yeah.
But then you'd go to like the mess hall where like everybody's lined up on the floor with their plate. And,
oh wow.
The
old school.
The old school,
Oh,
they
wow.
bring you like, your dal and khichdi and.
Man, that's really cool.
On Sundays
cool.
you'd get like, paneer, because paneer is expensive.
Can't get over paneer. One of the best kinds of cheese.
Oh, it's the best, man.
Oh man, that's awesome. I did not know that at all. That is amazing. I mean, like, because I've floated in and out of being religious. To the point, because everybody questions, I suppose,
sure,
faith in whatever sense that they have it. But like I mentioned, like partially jokingly, but also seriously, I've been coming back to it, but more as a sort of form of like meditation. My mom does yoga. My dad's the atheist, agnostic in the family, due to him being an academic. But my mom is very hardcore Hindu. She prays, or rather meditates, like a couple hours in the morning.
Does she do japa?
Yeah. Yeah. She lights the candles and everything. She has her own small shrine. It smells actually lovely.
Right.
Yeah, it's very fragrant. She takes good care of all of it, and she meditates like 2 hours before her first meal, I think, and then 2 hours again before dinner. She used to do like Bharatanatyam, so like the dance, and Carnatic music.
Dance, yeah.
Yeah. So she used to teach it, but like, I think the girls in her dance school were kind of expecting like the Bollywood moves, like the sexy Bollywood moves and stuff like that. Like, oh, fun choreography. It's gonna look good for the boys, I guess. And then she was like,
good for
no.
TikTok.
Yeah, good for TikTok. But like before TikTok existed, back in the 90s. But like, and then there's my mom with like her like ruler and her hands, like, you have to do it like this. And she was like a military instructor. I don't think the parents realized that she was so hardcore about it.
Well, like I went to like a few like schools where they taught Bharatanatyam dancing, and the teachers were so strict, with like how your eyes and your face and your hand position, and I guess if if her teacher was like that, I'm sure that's how
Yes.
she taught.
Yeah.
And it's very like I think what a lot of people, when you look at it, you just it's just a nice dancing, but like a lot of it is like it's telling a story.
Yeah. That's exactly
it's
right.
like if you know like what the moves mean and what it's almost like a sign language.
Right. It is its own language.
It's its own language. Like you
Right.
can tell a full story about how Gopal was chasing the gopis, on the Yamuna,
Yeah, the whole thing. And every scene is like a scene from like the Ramayana or like the Mahabharata,
Sure, yeah.
like some sort of thing. And like, yeah, but it's beautiful on its face. It's very beautiful because it's so aesthetic and the dancers. I remember when they did the performances. I mean, like they had to do the makeup, they have to wear the jewelry, they have to wear the saris, but
the ankle bells,
and everything has to be perfectly sized. You can't be too uncomfortable when you're wearing all this stuff, which is heavy. Like the jewelry is heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy.
So like, and for women and men, and there are like male dancers back in the day too. I don't think there are as many male dancers now, unfortunately. At least I haven't seen male Bharatanatyam dancers in a long time.
Yeah, it's a woman.
Mostly it's the women.
Yeah.
But like I remember that my mom knew a man who taught it, and like he was extremely like physically fit and lithe,
Right.
And because he takes off his shirt because he has to perform all of it, and most of it's done like in a single like dhoti. How do I
Right.
explain what a dhoti is to the audience?
It's like it's a big cloth that you wrap up and fold,
Right.
and you wear like I don't want to say like a skirt, but you wear like a skirt.
Yeah, kind of. Because there's like the last piece is kind of like a belt that you tie around, and then that hangs.
I guess you could say it's almost like a toga.
Kind of, yeah.
Like
a leg toga. Like a
leg toga, yeah.
Leg toga, yeah. Never thought I was going to say the words leg toga, but that's perfect, actually, yeah. But yeah. I remember just how much work she put into it. Like you were saying, all like the different hand gestures, the things like you move your eyes left or right, and the way in which you do it signals a different kind of emotion.
Sure.
Everything is kind of broken down to like a serious discipline. And I remember like Taekwondo has forms, so too does Bharatanatyam. Like every single thing is regimented. And I remember she put those girls who were my classmates, and they were like, "Your mom is, yo, hold on, like." I thought your life was eating nice food and math problems, and you're telling me this. What is this? And so, it was really funny for my mom to this very sweet Indian lady, and then she enters like a dance hall, and then she's an instructor.
Different person.
Yeah, she's
totally.
a different person. The horns come out.
Right.
It was really funny. But yeah. And it's beautiful too, because I saw videos. My mom had a video of her doing dances when she was young, like in her 20s. And there are people, by the way, I'm talking about my parents a lot. Sorry, might be boring. But like, there are people who don't beat their chests a lot, even if they achieve great things. Like they just don't beat their chests a lot. So I remember in my grandparents' home, my mom and her sisters would have like awards for music and stuff and dance. And I think that was just like expected for the girls in their family to just be doing those things. Why that is, I'm not really sure. It's just what is expected for them. And she had like a bunch of like a small like cabinet full of like awards for dance, and I was like, I don't really get the big deal. And she never really exposed me to dance much anyway. She told me that I should dance because I move well, and I was like, I don't know what that means. I don't like being told that, actually. There's something sinister. I feel like there's something sinister about telling me that I move well.
You move well. You're graceful. Whenever she's saying you're graceful.
Yeah. I don't feel that way. I feel like I have like my hips are like 2 blocks of wood whenever I dance, Like, I was
Come on, Indians, I don't know about you.
Yeah.
But like, usually like Indians are like the first ones that, at a party, they're cutting it up,
Oh, yeah.
Doing
Usually.
the Bollywood moves. Doing
The shoulders come out?
Shoulders, their wrist flick. And I think a lot of it has to do is like, growing up in the Hare Krishna community, like our church was song and dance.
Yeah.
Like we'd have, it wasn't like like the Catholics or the Christians that go and they, they'll sit there and sing some songs, and then they'll listen to the pastor,
songs,
speak whatever. But for us, it was like we had a little bit of that where it was like 30 minutes of reading the Gita
Yeah.
But then it was like kirtan, You know, we're like, singing
yeah.
the mantras and dancing and
That's lovely.
playing the mridanga and the kartals and the harmonium.
That's so much fun.
You know, just fucking jamming. And that was like 3 times a day.
Yeah.
You know, we were just moving our bodies. You know, so I think a lot of
really
like
healthy.
A lot of Indians, I don't know if then when they grow up with like in a kirtan life and a kirtan upbringing,
right? Yeah,
you know, they're used to like publicly dancing and letting it loose. You know?
I think we are. You're right about that. Like I've seen so much like, because at parties and stuff, like we'll just start dancing,
just going at it.
Going at it. Yeah. Wedding receptions. Wedding receptions are like, you know, that's where we shine. that's where we shine as a community. It's like some people just look at Indians like, I don't get it. What do you guys do? Wait till one of us gets married. Just wait.
Yeah, that's a big party.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big party. Then you'll understand food that you're not allowed to not eat. You know, you're forced to eat,
and it's so delicious.
It's so good,
and it's so heavy. Like Indian food is so heavy. Like I think South Indian food is less heavy, you know, but like North Indian food.
Yeah.
In my experience was just like these thick curries.
Oh yeah.
You know, and these sweets that are just
much
all
more
like
savory.
milk and sugar.
Yeah.
You know, like burfi.
Mm-hmm. Oh, burfi.
Gulab jamins. You know, rasmalai. Fucking. You know, like one of my favorite things was when I lived in India was like just going out to like the street and getting like hot jalebis from the street vendor.
Oh, that sounds so lovely.
You know, just like.
And they'll scoop it out and they'll just
scoop it out of the oil, put it right in the bag, and you eat it, and it's still warm, and just fucking all that syrup juice just explodes
There's
in your
a
mouth.
Bollywood close to here, right? There's a Bollywood. There's a couple Bollywoods in Shenzhen.
There's one in Lohu, and there's one in Futian, near Huashanbe.
Cool. I know what I'm having for dinner tonight.
Yeah, Bollywood's. I haven't been to too many Indian restaurants here in Shenzhen, but Bollywood seems to be my favorite.
Yeah, it's like consistently like, just on point.
Yeah.
Every time I've gone there, and I've always gone for like birthday parties and stuff like that, and there's the staff there are really nice too.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, I definitely know what I'm having tonight.
Yeah, dude.
for dinner.
Yeah, Indian food is my favorite. It's
Oh,
all-time favorite food.
It's so good.
It's so good, dude.
Yeah.
And I feel like Indian food, out of all of like the foods in the world, is like the most intricate. Because like, you know, Italian food is like kind of very simple, humble food. You know, where it's just like, you know, you got a few herbs and, you know, you make some dough. But Indian food is like, you make a curry that has like 13 different spices, you know, and like the process is very like slow and time consuming, you know, to like make it.
Right. I remember because again, I'm talking about my mom. She's got like the man of the family. Her hands are like kind of like scarred up from like touching like naan or like chapatis on the tava and stuff like that. So she'll just do it with her bare hands.
Yes.
And me and my dad,
calloused.
Calloused fingers and stuff like that. And I'm just like, Mom, I can't shake your hand without feeling pain. She's like, get over it. It's like doesn't matter. But like I remember like, me and my dad are the ones that like cut up vegetables for her.
And do the prep.
Yeah, do the prep and everything. And so, because there was a Thanksgiving dinner that we were supposed to bring something to, and my dad, we didn't have Mom at the time. She was in India.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It was a big difference, I bet.
Yeah, it was just like two of us, and you know, like it's not like we're dumb, but we're just like looking at each other like, we're not prepared for this, are we? So she's like, we call her, she's in India, like, you need to help us.
Did you have other family coming, or was it just going to be you two?
It was us two. We were going to bring something like a potluck.
Oh, so you're going to go join somewhere?
Yeah, going to go on someone else's like Thanksgiving dinner. We were going to bring something to them. Couldn't go to Thanksgiving empty-handed. So like, we called her. She was in India. She was like, okay, just do everything I say. You know? So like, we were like making the rice, cutting vegetables, putting the right spices in here, putting the right spices there. This is the first time we realized like, with her commandeering the ship, it was a 2 or 3 man job, and we were like, okay, we need to like take you out and treat you as well as possibly.
You understand all the hard work and effort she put into all your meals.
We're going to give you movie nights. We're going to give you breakfast in bed. Massages. Cancel the breakfast in bed. We're both shit cooks. Right. But yeah, man. Like, you're right about that. It's so laborious and time consuming, and
That's very intricate. It's like
So
I just feel like out of like all like the food styles in the world, I feel like I would, maybe it's not the right comparison, but I feel it's the most like chemistry. You know, where it's just like you got to put a little bit of this and this and this
The
and
right
this.
ratios
You
of
know,
everything,
the right
yeah.
ratio. If you put too much, you know,
something goes off.
asafoetida inside, it's gonna start getting bitter.
Oh,
Or too much
yeah.
saffron, or
Yeah, never
Yeah.
never too much saffron, otherwise it's too strong. You want a hint of it.
yeah,
Like garam masala is never really completely garam masala because people will just add stuff to it sometimes, and like can't go a day without having like good like cumin seeds.
right.
Yeah, put in certain things. It's man, something that I want to get into this year is like getting into cooking as well. Because I mean, you know, I've got Chef Meituan.
Chef Meituan.
Yeah,
But you're a single guy. Or,
single guy. Yeah,
yeah, so it's easy
That's-
easy to
easy to be lazy, man.
easy to hire Chef Meituan.
Chef Meituan never fails, dude. It's just, I mean, like,
You know how to make paneer?
I can make
Okay,
paneer,
so you
yeah.
got
So
you
I
got
the
something
basics.
good.
I got some basics. So like when I was in college and I was like substantially poorer, I was just like, just mostly because I was just spending on food ingredients. I was just like making like palak paneer by myself, and I was like, oh, this isn't too hard. And I was like, yeah, actually, I'm right. It isn't too hard. You just have to pay attention. That really is the only thing.
Well, I think out of that, like the paneer is the easiest part.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah, and it's like also the most fun part.
right?
It's, like,
Watching the
part-
curdles
Yeah,
come
watching
and
the curdles, yeah.
transfer it into
Yeah.
curd and whey.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, and then like even if you're not able to make it like completely from scratch or whatever, you just get some like blocked, like frozen block paneer, thaw it for a bit, cut it into bits. It's just satisfying to like put it on a grill or like a plain, not grill, tava, and then just watch it like sizzle. Be like, yes, I am definitely
I'm doing something. I'm a chef now.
I'm a chef now. I am never gonna show my face to Gordon Ramsay ever, ever. He's gonna call me an idiot sandwich for sure.
Idiot sandwich. Holy fuck.
Man, oh man, talking about India and Indian food is so much fun. There's so much that's undiscovered. I think I mean, in terms of like non-Indian people, or even like Indian Americans like myself, or Indian people who, you know, have not been everywhere in India. It's just like there's so much to see and there's so much to do.
Well, the thing about Indian food too is that most people don't realize is that like the food in the regions is so incredibly different. Like the South Indian food is a
Yeah.
totally different flavor, almost like a different country
Yeah.
than like the North Indian food.
If you juxtapose them, like you think that they're completely distinct cultures by the way they eat. Yeah, like you were saying, the North Indian food is like very like it's thicker, heavier. It's a lot more savory in a way, but like South Indian food is a bit milder. It's like the dosas are a completely distinct like dish, especially with like the different kinds of fillings that you'd have in there,
Right.
and the different kinds of dosas too, because you'll have like your like rava dosa, which is a different kind of dough or like ingredient in the dough. You see how much I know about this. But yeah, it's just like if I were to just do a food tour of India, I'd feel so fulfilled. Just like
That would be amazing.
yeah, I actually now really want to do that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Like when I first got to India, I was I got sick the first week that I was there.
Oh, yeah.
Like brutally sick. Like I was knocked out for like 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
Just like vomiting, shitting, everything coming out of the wrong hole. You know, just like I felt like I almost like was like I just want to go home.
Yeah.
You know, like this is like way too much. So
Right.
and then I got over that, and then after that I was fine. But I decided to like stay away from like street food. And then slowly, about 6 months into living there, I started like getting into the street food.
Right.
And like I guess I got all the bugs inside of me, and
You got used to it.
used to
Yeah.
you know, the lifestyle.
You conquered
And
it.
then I was just like eating everything I could find, man. It was just like the best food was never at like the restaurants You know, it was these little like mom and pop shops on the side of the road or in the fucking ghettos.
Yeah, yeah.
Where you just like get a bowl.
Oh,
You
man.
know,
Yeah.
the bowls are made out of like crispy dried leaves.
Yeah.
You know, just fucking eat it with your hand and go.
Oh man.
So
Yeah, that's one thing I think, because I went to Chicago recently for the first time after 5 years, and I was like, I love traveling back home, but now I'm like, I'm definitely gonna go to India this summer. That's one thing I need to do, is, or at least in the spring, like for the May Day holiday. Like,
summer's the worst time. Fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it doesn't. Maybe not as bad as Shenzhen. I don't know. Like when I was there, summers was fucking terrible. But it's dry heat though.
Dry heat. It's
You know?
different kind of heat. Yeah.
So I think I'd much rather have a dry heat
Shenzhen.
than a humid heat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree, because I mean, also I've been used to this heat for like 5 years, and I'm just like, I know I've known this feeling. I've had this feeling enough times to be like, I won't miss this.
Yeah,
kind
it's
of summer.
terrible. I hate this weather
Yeah.
in the summer.
Yeah. Oh man, like this past week, not gonna talk about work. I hate talking about work, but like the floors in my workplace were just like covered in like humidity, like
The water, right?
Water, just like the condensation on the floor, and I was like, did somebody wash something? Did somebody do something?
So
No.
the same thing happened in our apartment building, and where it's just like in our house and in the halls where the elevator is just flooded with water. So it's something with like the cold air and the hot air.
Yeah.
With the cold air with like has a lot of moisture in it, and the hot air coming in and meeting, it just causes this very wet environment. But it's
Yeah.
like it's literally like somebody just threw a bucket
It
on the
is.
floor and
It
just
is.
left it there.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is like my house is flooded. Every single floor of the building is flooded, but my office and the studio here
Yeah.
completely dry. Which I don't understand why this location is dry and everything else is wet. And I'm so thankful because all
Yeah.
of the camera equipment's here, all the books are here.
Oh yeah.
You know, like all this moisture in this area would just destroy,
Yeah. Would just
destroy
really
everything.
put a real damper on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but luckily, it's just like you come out of this, swimming pool from the house, and then come here. It's just like dry as
Nice.
dry and nice. But it's weird. It's a weird like once a year, twice a year weather phenomenon. Where
Yeah.
two systems are colliding,
Yeah.
and it's not evaporating fast enough.
So I just like to imagine that God is throwing a little bit of just like, I'm just gonna fuck with you guys today.
Yeah. That's what God, he must be bored, He's
Yeah.
he's gotta have his fun once
Yeah.
in a while,
His version of using super soakers, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
And going back to like when we were talking about Hinduism, that's
Yeah.
one thing that I really love. Like how I grew up was that Krishna, he was like kind of like the number one.
Yeah.
So there was like kind of like Vishnu, Krishna, right, and then all the demigods. So
Yeah,
the demigods
yeah.
being like Brahma, Shiva, Kali,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But those are all below
Yeah.
Krishna. And as far as like the hierarchy of what I was taught,
Right. Well, you're taught. Yeah.
and maybe that's the way the hierarchy in Hinduism too.
So
But I think different people have different
Like
beliefs depending on where they're from too.
right. Well, yeah. That's what I was gonna say, because there's many different systems. So what I would say is the way I grew up. I grew up reading only the myths, essentially, and I learned like various like shlokas and stotrams and stuff like that, and verses. So my mom and her family would, whenever we went to Mysore, they would be chanting the Vishnu Sahasranamam. I butchered that pronunciation. Translates to the 1,000 names of Vishnu. So you chant this essentially, for all the reasons you would chant the 1,000 names of any god, just like for wealth, health, and not being killed in your sleep. So,
Right.
kidding about the last one. But so I would say the way I was taught about it, especially after like reading the various myths, because there's also different creation myths in Hinduism as well. Like one was that Brahma created the world out of an egg. The second was that Brahma created his own daughter, and she was so beautiful that he was like, my creation's amazing. And then like, and she transformed into different animals, and he had sex with her, and produced the lineage of all those various animals. And her last transformation was as a woman, and he met her as man, and then sorry about that, but like, he met her as man, and then they had children, right? So there's different myths of creation as well in Hinduism. Something that I've been looking into actually, because like, you know, in Norse mythology, there's a set creation myth. Like Greek mythology, there's creation myths. Christianity, the Abrahamic religions, there's definitely a creation myth. But Hinduism, I don't really know of one particular myth of the creation of the world. And as for the hierarchy, like the way I learned about it was that it's Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva, like as a kind of
like the creator, the destroyer, the maintainer.
Yeah, the preserver, the destroyer, and then the creator, and they call them the Trimurti, like the whole, like our version of like the Holy Trinity, I guess. But their relationships to each other are very strange. Yeah.
Well, I think like it's one thing I really love about Hinduism is that too. It's just like the story about the gods are so wild. You know, like Krishna, like he would go and steal all the clothes from the girls while they're swimming in the river, and like hang them up in the tree. Yeah, you know, like there's just like they all have these like, you know, if you were just to read them like in like a Tolkien novel or something like that, it's very, you know, fantastic.
They're very
but they're the gods of this whole religion. You know?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Like I was talking about this with my cousins when I visited back home, and they're like, man, I don't know why people haven't taken like Hindu mythology and turned it into like a modern fantasy thing. Because like the way Tolkien took Norse mythology and like I think certain aspects of like Celtic mythology as well, and turned those into the basis for Lord of the Rings.
Well, even like it's really like the original like Game of Thrones is really just the Mahabharata.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like I was gonna say that
we have all these brothers and cousins and uncles,
all family.
They're all killing each other, fighting, deceiving each other, and then finally, like it builds up into one big war, and then you have to. Everybody's like, oh, I need to get this guy on my side because he has 1,000, war elephants, and I have to get this guy on my side because he has the bow that. You know,
whatever, absolutely. Right? It's completely like that.
And then like, was like it who's the main guy? I can't remember his name. Who's the main general leader of the bad guys in the Mahabharata?
So the main bad guy. The main bad guy is Duryodhana.
Yeah. So Duryodhana, like I remember like the story of him, and was it Arjuna? They both went to go talk to Krishna at the same time because they wanted Krishna
to be part of their army.
Part of the army, and like Krishna was like, well, Duryodhana got here first, or I saw him first, right? So I'll let him choose, right? Like, you either can have my full army, or you can have me, and I'll just be a chariot driver. Right?
Yeah.
And then Duryodhana was like, fuck, I want your army. Yeah. You guys are badass. Yeah. And Arjuna was like so thankful that he got Krishna. Right. As the chariot driver. Right. And that story is like so amazing. Just like from when the kids, when all the 5 brothers, the Pandavas, were young, and growing up, and all the different things that they went through. And then there was like the 6th brother, Keshava. Was it Keshava? Not Keshava.
The Pandavas, 5 brothers, and the 6th brother is Karna. Yeah. Oh, he's my favorite.
He's my favorite. He's my favorite. He was also my favorite too. Where he was like torn, to like fight against his brothers, but he was on the other side. I mean, and then you have like grandfather Bhishma, who was like loved by everybody,
but is helpless. Yeah.
And then like as they just couldn't kill him. They needed to give him a bed of arrows to lay down comfortably. Man, as he was dying.
And like his death is so emotional because everybody stops fighting.
Because it's like he was like the I don't know, a monarch. I don't know. Maybe this is not
like the pillar of their family.
Pillar of the family on both sides.
Yeah,
you know?
on both sides of the argument. I completely agree. It's like Game of Thrones. It's just like that.
It is Game of Thrones.
It's like the Indian version of Game of Thrones.
It is.
Yeah.
You know?
And that was the thing, like, because Krishna, going back to what you said, I wanted to say something like Krishna is definitely like, because he's for people who don't know as much about Hinduism, I guess it's there's supposed to be 10 avatars of Vishnu, right? Well, it's called Dashavatar. There's like the fish. Am I getting this?
Kurma.
Yeah, fish.
Nrsimha.
Yeah.
Matsya.
And then I forgot the
Buddha.
Buddha as well. Yeah.
Rama.
I want to say it in English. So there's the fish, there's a turtle, there's Varaha is like the boar.
The boar picked up the planet to save the planet.
So yeah, it takes his touch and saves the planet from an ocean of darkness or something. No, the primordial ocean of chaos. Or
whatever. I don't remember exactly.
I don't even know, dude. Like these. Also, who came up with this shit?
They're all on DMT doing mushrooms and shit.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know, man. Like, it's so. I mean, it's just like. So I'll tell you, like, from my perspective, right?
Yeah.
Like, growing up in like the United States, like you're from an Indian family, so this is like part of your heritage. This like my family joined the Krishnas, and I grew up in the Krishnas. But like I grew up in a world surrounded of Christians and normal Americans, right? And you're just like hearing all these crazy stories. You know, just like, what the fuck is this shit? You know, like as you get older, you start thinking about like all these things you learned.
Of course, yeah. Because I imagine it's like being part of like two worlds. Like your family and the community you spend time around are like part of the Krishnas, and then like, you're an American like everybody else. And so, like,
in the beginning years, I was in Gurukula. You know, it was like private school, right?
Right. Like
on
like the Hindu version of Sunday school.
Right. It was probably not even legal.
Right.
You know, just like, but then like as like different communities closed and shit like that, or we moved, like, and then I went to like American public school, you know, where it's just like, most of these people don't have funny Indian names.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Your name is significantly shorter than what I'm used to pronouncing.
And then like, you know, shit, like, you know, we used to call them like karmis.
Yeah.
You know, like the people who like ate meat or, you know, like not part of like the...
That's a really fun slang to use, karmi.
You know? Yeah, these guys,
I might appropriate that.
Going to karmi school now. You know, you're not going to Gokula, you know. All the karmis, they just fucking like to drink and smoke and have sex and eat meat, you know.
All the fun things.
You know?
Hey, something's not adding up.
Yeah, dude, cheers, man.
Cheers.
You need some more?
I'll take a little bit more.
You want to try the gin now?
Yes, please.
You want another piece of ice or you good?
I think that's okay.
I'll go light, dude. I'll go light just for you.
Tiny amount is good.
Yeah, just a little splash. Yeah, maybe that's too much.
No, that's good.
But
I think the tonic will help out with that.
Yeah, we'll do a full tonic.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
So yeah, like going to the public school and then just like growing up, you know, from very isolated in the Krishna community and then being exposed to like the public school, it's just like, what are all these stories that I've been fed, you know, like going into real society, you know, it was such a trip for me. And
I can imagine.
And then like going to India kind of like really like blew my mind because it was like I didn't know what to believe, you know, like you're talking about all these crazy stories and these 9 incarnations of Krishna and all this wild topics.
Right.
And then but when I went to India, I was just like, holy fuck, like there's a whole country that believes in all the stories that I grew up with. Right. And the places I went to, like Vrindavan, you know?
Yeah.
And Mathura, which is like where, you know, Krishna grew up.
Right.
You know, and then going to the places where, oh, you know, this is Govardhan Hill.
Right.
Where Krishna picked up the mountain and saved everybody from the floods. And like, fuck, it was so cool to see that these are, you know, where all these stories happened.
Right.
You know, and understanding that, wow, these are
The real villages,
the real places, you know, went to
yeah.
Radakund and Shamakund,
Right.
you know, and got to experience it. And it was just kind of like,
Yeah. Yeah. I
you
can
know, it
imagine
was just like, it was because it was such a void. Like when I was younger, I was just like, I don't really know if I believe this shit. You know,
well, yeah,
like,
because they're just stories.
they're,
Right?
they're just fantastical stories.
Very
You know,
fantastical
not just
story,
stories.
yes.
You know,
Yeah.
I'd see like when I compare, like I had a girlfriend too, like before I went to India, who was Catholic. So just by hanging out with her, like I spend a lot of time at the Catholic Church, and I never like had the idea to become Catholic, but respecting her faith, you know, is just like very supportive of her.
Right.
And their stories are far less wild, you know,
Right,
about
yeah.
Jesus than about Krishna.
Right.
You know, Krishna was a thief. He was a womanizer. You know,
Yeah.
the story of like
Yeah.
Ram and the monkey army, and you know,
Yeah.
right? Like, you know,
Yeah.
like burning down the fucking whole city with his tail as he's flying around. You know, and he's
Yeah.
this monkey king god is the son
Hanuman.
of the wind. You know,
Yeah. The
you
son
know?
of the wind. Yeah. The whole, all of that mythology is just so outlandish.
It's so outlandish, but it's so cool though. Like,
It's lovely.
you know,
It's lovely. I mean, yeah, it must have been because I had a similar. One of the similarities I think I had in growing up in the United States, like being born like in a Hindu family, an Indian
Right.
family. It's just like yeah, I would always describe it as like entering my family's home as being a part of like a little India, right? The smell, for one thing, was like it just kind of hits your nose.
Sure.
Yeah, but then also the shrine and everything. Then also the way my parents act, the way they carry themselves, the way they behave. You know, very humble people. Even if they're really great at things, they're just extremely humble people, very kind. And of course, like we're talking about with the stories, and you know, they'd have these like mythological dramatizations of like Mahabharata and like Ramayana, like with like the bad CGI, like not even CGI, the bad
terrible movies.
Yeah, terrible. Like it's just like the stories are great, the writing is great, just the way you shoot this, you know.
Oh, I'm sure. Also, it's like whatever their budget was probably wasn't great too.
That's true. That's
You
also
know,
true. Got to be
so-
kind there, yeah. But yeah, you're right, because I think when I would absorb all those stories and then I'd go out and I went to church because a lot of my friends went to church. It's not because I was devout, it's because I was like, oh, we're gonna meet there and then we're gonna go out here, do this, do that, you know, like for like play dates or whatever. So I'd once in a while go to church and be like, this is so different.
It's so different, you know.
As a holy place, it's so different. Because a temple, even if we're not doing like kirtana or even if people aren't singing, people are still talking and like socializing a lot more. There's a food court and things like that. So
it's so different. It's night and
so
day.
different. It's
You know,
culturally
like-
just so different. Because like you'll see people praying in a certain space and they'll be meditating or praying or whatever, or taking prasadam or whatever. But then in like a main hall or foyer or whatever, people will be just socializing. And in church, I didn't see any of the socializing. You sit down,
Like inside the church room,
Yeah.
it's just like sit down, be quiet,
listen.
you know, listen,
Yeah.
sing the song,
Yeah.
you know, in your seat, now, you know, sit.
It's very regimented.
You know, very regimented. And what we went through is like people went crazy.
Yeah.
Like I remember like kirtans that were just like unbelievable, where people were just bouncing around, being
Yeah.
wild. You know, like
Just having fun.
just having fun. And that's what the biggest difference that I felt, you know, when I went to the Catholic church, and then what I grew up with, I was like, fuck, man, like kirtan is way more fun. You know, like you know, anybody who wants to play an instrument, just grab it. You know, as long as you don't suck. You know, as long
Right.
as you keep a rhythm.
As long as you
know?
can keep a rhythm, you're
You
fine.
know,
Yeah.
play the mridanga, the cymbals, the kartals, you
Yeah.
know, harmonium.
Oh, harmoniums. That brings back some memories. Yeah.
You know, the fuck. Yeah, I mean, like in the mornings, like you know, like you'd start off with like, you know, a nice bhajan and everyone's sitting down playing the harmonium and, you know, maybe like one or two mridangas,
Yeah.
you know, but the evening time was just like like a mosh pit. You know,
Yeah.
everyone's just like jumping,
Jumping, having fun, singing,
singing.
playing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, it was such a. You know, for me, like that was like those memories are so nice. You know, and I feel like I feel very blessed and fortunate that I was able to like grow up in that kind of environment.
Yeah.
As far as like a religion and a practice goes, compared to like a Christian, you know, or some other kind of practice, because it was just like it was fun, you know, like. You know, when you had like an amazing mridanga player and someone who knew how to like lead the kirtan,
Yeah.
you know, it's like a rock show. I mean, I don't want to say it was like a rock show, but like
It was like
when you're getting into the groove, and there's like
people are just kind of like
you know,
jamming.
just fucking jamming.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what it is. Like it's an organized song jam session.
Yeah.
You know. And
Right.
the guy would take you high and then drop you low, and then take you high and drop you low. You know? It's
Yeah,
like,
man. That's one thing I also do miss about temples is just the music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just to add on to that, my parents used to send me to Indian music classes.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a part of life, just like cuz there's different kinds of Indian music like you're talking about with food as well. There's South Indian music and North Indian music, and they're both distinct.
Yeah, sure.
They share certain similarities. They're both an Indian sound,
Right.
for sure. But I studied more North Indian music actually than South Indian, and man, a lot of those concerts that I went to, you'd see it was like what you said, right? Everything you said, but kind of done in a much more formal setting on a stage, and everybody would just kind of like be into it and listening,
Right.
and just sitting there and listening. It was one of those experiences one of the few experiences that I would call like holy,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because like when singers or sitarists or any performer like kind of really gets into it, and it's a solo act, because the tabla player or the mridangam player is
There's like support. Right.
or the harmonium player in some cases would be support, but like usually it's the vocalist, and
Mm-hmm.
and there's very little harmonizing in our kind of music, like, you know, especially because like the kirtana there's very little harmonizing. It's just like one melody that keeps going and going
Right.
and going.
You know, but it's reciprocal, right? It's like the singer will sing it, goes to the crowd, goes back to the singer, goes to the crowd.
Playing catch.
You know, playing catch, you know?
Yeah.
And then the singer will twist it up, send it
Yeah.
back, and then they send it back, and
Yeah.
then he slows it down or speeds it up.
Yeah.
You know, and like,
Yeah, like the pace is always something that you can always play with.
mm,
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's something that I really miss, because I mean, mostly I listen to like heavy metal now.
you know?
Yeah. And I'm like, this is not what I grew up with. But thankfully, I started looking up a bunch of Indian music on Spotify, and I found like Hindustani music mixed with like prog rock stuff, and it sounded great. So
There was quite a few bands. I'm probably still today. Like I don't know too many, but like Kula Shekar from the UK.
Yeah.
They were
yeah,
part of like the Krishna community, and they were doing like rock music, but also
Cool.
with like mantra, and they were
Kula
big
Shekar?
for their time. Yeah, like I mean, in like the '90s, late '90s, I think they were
okay, cool.
kind of big. They were like,
Yeah.
I think they had a song even on like MTV and shit like that.
Oh, cool, nice.
But
I'll have to look them up.
and then there's this like, I mean, like I don't know, like Ram Dass, who's like a white guy who's very big in the U.S. for his mantra music and shit
Yeah.
like that. And yeah, occasionally like my favorite music is I usually listen to like hip hop and shit like that. But like
Nice.
occasionally I gotta throw on some Krishna melodies.
Nice.
You know, just like,
Remind you of home.
just from remind me of good times. You know, good memories.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel that pretty hard.
It's like I'm in the same situation like your father, right? Where
yeah.
I don't want to say there is no God. I never had an experience where that confirmed that there is a God.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like for me, if there is a God, it's going to be like Mother Earth. You know, the planet.
Right.
Like she's kind of like the supreme ruler of our lives
Right.
with air, water, food.
Sure.
You know, but that's very materialistic point of view. You know,
Well, maybe it's
But, like-
materialistic, but like it's completely understandable, and I think you wouldn't be wrong for feeling that way. Yeah.
but I do really like if I'm gonna like have like if there's a god that I'm emotionally connected to, it's definitely going to be Krishna.
Yeah.
You know, just because it's what was a big part of my upbringing, and still a
Right.
big part of, you know, a lot of my friends' lives back in the States, and
Sure.
still part of my family's lives.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know,
I agree, because like Krishna as a character, at least if you look at him, I've always had this kind of this weird opinion about the character, because characters like Krishna or even like Christ, right? If you characters like Krishna or even like Christ, if you take out the whole divinity aspect, like the aspect of their divinity from the story, if you like kind of siphon all that out and just like look at their actions or their words as individuals, they're pretty extraordinary people.
right?
Yeah,
You know?
especially considering the times in which they lived. Yeah, I mentioned this book. It's called Yugantha by a woman called Iravati Karve. And so she talks about all the Mahabharata characters just as if they're people, without talking about like whether they're sons
The
of gods.
big picture, or the religion
The-
aspects
yeah.
of it.
She just talks about the characters and like what they go through as people. And Krishna always kind of struck me, and my dad agrees with this, and I kind of use him as like my litmus test for whether or not my opinions are good or not. But like Krishna as a character is rather fascinating because he on when he's a kid, he's like a thief. He's constantly making trouble.
He is the biggest troublemaker.
He is the biggest
you know?
troublemaker. He is the biggest shit magnet. Please don't like smite me. But like he is the biggest like shit magnet in the story. Like demons come to his village all the time.
I don't want to say he's an orphan, but like
Yeah.
he lives in an adopted family.
He lives in an adopted family,
You
you
know,
know. And he's a relentless womanizer.
Yeah, especially in like his teenage years.
Yeah.
You know?
You mentioned earlier today like the him where he steals
He's on the Yamuna bank of the Yamuna River,
He
and then like
steals
all
the
the
gopis'
girls
clothes.
are and he hangs them in the tree. And when
Right.
you go to India, when you go to Yamuna and Vrindavan,
Yeah.
they still hang saris
From,
on the tree where this
nice.
supposedly happened.
Where this supposedly
you know?
happened.
So,
That's lovely. I mean, like, and the gopis are like, "Oh, you're so bad.
Yeah.
If I were to do that,
you'd be fucking in jail, dude. You know?
forever."
You fucking look up on the pedophile fucking sex offender webpage. It's like,
Just
yep.
like every bureau of every country, be
lives
like,
there.
"This guy's a douche."
Yeah, you know, but Christian did it. Oh, it's cute.
He's a god.
Yeah, he's loving it.
It's
It's
okay.
so nice.
He's all right when he does it. But I mean, that's his childhood, right? Then I think he kind of comes of age. His uncle Kamsa is like this evil ruler. He kills him in Mathura. It restores order to like the Yadava kingdom for a while. Then there's another king, of course.
But also too, like, he has like his two lovers.
yeah,
You know, he marries Rukmini, but he loves Radha.
yes, yeah.
You know, like,
That's also wild. That's also wild to me. Like all of his love stories are very wild to me. Because he had this huge romance with Radha, and then they never have a child together.
yeah.
Yeah, but then he has like what?
But
1,000
Radha's
wives.
like Rukmini's not even the one that's like worshipped so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you sing the songs, Radha, Krishna, you know, it's like what people
Yeah.
sing, you know, like on the altar. It was never like
Rukmini or anybody else.
Krishna and Rukmini. It was Radha Krishna deities.
Never anybody else who had a child by him or worshipped him or loved him. It was just this one girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that is a really interesting thing to me that people always say Radha and Krishna. But after his childhood, he becomes like the hero of the Mahabharata war, essentially, because like what he does, if you take out his divinity from the story, is you just see this person who is like extremely calculating in like everything that he does. Not in a mean way or like a snake-like way. I'm not talking about that. But there's this part of Mahabharata, and I think you might remember if I detail it out. Before the war starts, right? There's these two warring families, and you know, one is like the bad guys, quote unquote, and the one is the good guys, quote unquote. Krishna goes to the Kaurava their camp in Hastinapur, right? And he just says, okay, listen, the Pandavas want peace. I want peace. Most of you guys want peace, except for Duryodhana over there, who's a sulking asshole. He's a douche. Right. But most of you guys want peace. You all know what's going to happen if we have war. People are going to die. Not just like one of you, like tons of you are going to die. Yeah. Let's try to avoid this. And he basically tries to sue for peace all the time. And he knows that like the bad Duryodhana and all his friends are going to be like, no, we want to fight. He knows that's what's going to happen. And you can tell, especially if you siphon out, again, all the divinity, you're like, he basically details out, this is why if you continue behaving this way, the war is going to happen, and this is what's going to happen if the war happens. And it's not going to be pretty. Please just give the Pandavas like 5 villages, and they'll be happy.
I was just thinking about this. Like, I don't remember why the war even was going to happen.
Okay, so the reason... Yeah.
It was because Yudhisthira and Duryodhana were fighting or claiming kingship of the land?
It's because, kind of. Not even that. The war happens essentially because Duryodhana does not want to give up any claim to any part of the land that he thinks is his. Yudhisthira, like the eldest of the Pandavas, is essentially like a philosopher. He's not a king. He's kind of like an addict. Like he gambles a lot. That's his one like defining trait. He gambles a lot. He has it bad. he has it real bad, and his position is really ironic. He's born with the ability to discern right from wrong at every point, but he has a serious gambling addiction, and so he doesn't even want the throne. He just takes it because he should have it logically.
He's the first son, right?
Technically, yeah,
kind of.
Yeah, and because everybody's like, well, he's more worthy than Duryodhana. Duryodhana's like, I'm next in line, why shouldn't I have the throne? And he gets really pissed about it. So the war happens because of Duryodhana's greed and his anger and his like insatiable desire to just control everything. Okay. Yeah. So and
do you remember how they're related?
Yeah, they're cousins. So Duryodhana's father, Dhritarashtra, is the king of Hastinapur. So
his brother is the father.
Dhritarashtra's brother, Pandu's sons are Yudhisthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadeva, and Karna, who's like the 6th, but was abandoned.
But he's the oldest, right?
But he's technically the oldest. Yeah, technically the oldest. Like the story is wild. It's very meandering, and there are relationships that are kind of interwoven with each other.
It's very Game of Thrones.
It's very Game of Thrones.
Dude, like you're talking about like the B movie of like the Mahabharata or the Ramayana.
Yeah.
I would honestly, like one of the things that I would so love to see in my lifetime is the Lord of the Rings or the Game of Thrones production value of the Mahabharata.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know, like written like, you know, forget about all like the religious bullshit or whatever, right? Just written as like a cinematic series or movie or whatever, right? Just just something that's like on that level.
If you take out the spirituality from it, right, and leave in like the fantasy elements.
Yeah, just leave that in, you know, because it's so.
It becomes so much more fun.
It's amazing.
It is.
Like
it is.
This one family that's feuding.
Yeah, it's a constant feud.
And the most, you know, like the Game of Thrones, right? Mm-hmm. It's a made up story, right? In a sense, right?
It was based
it's a made up story.
Yeah,
I mean, right? Yeah. But this is a story that's just as fantastic, but it's a part of Indian history. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, whether or not it's true or not, or parts are true or not, you know, or some parts are embellished or not, it's you can go where Kurukshetra, where the battle
it's a real
actually
place.
happened.
Kurukshetra is a real place. Yeah. Yeah, you can go there. A lot of people speculated as to whether the war was ever real. Some people said like there must have been like multiple conflicts like that served as inspiration for this story.
Sure. I mean, but we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. But we do know that like a lot of people since then, especially from various kingdoms, might have claimed like, oh, my bloodline is from this person in this story. And I'm just like, we're all just like, yeah, sure, buddy. That's what your other two brothers and their families said. But okay, cool, man. That's great. But yeah, it's and it's taken so seriously today. I think there's a superstition, I think, in various parts of India, that if you have a copy of the Mahabharata in your home, your family will always be like at each other's necks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's like a superstition because like the story like it breeds conflict. Because if you read into it too much, like I was saying, like if you take out the religious, like you were saying too, if you take out the religious stuff from it, you're just talking about people, and what they want, and you're not talking about.
It's just, I mean, it's just raw emotion.
Yeah.
I want this kingdom. I want this woman.
Yeah.
I want power.
Yes.
I want whatever, right?
Right. And people acting out of their own systems of value and nothing that's really objectively right or wrong.
Yeah.
That's all the story really is. And like the insertion of Krishna as a deity kind of, in a way, for the religious-minded people, it enhances the story, I guess, for them. For me, it devalues everything because like Krishna as a person is so much more interesting because he knows, essentially, if you read through the lines, like he knows the war is going to happen. And then you get into that conversation, the same one that people who believe in Abrahamic religions like get into. If God allows bad things to happen, is he good? Kind of thing. So if Krishna allows the war to happen, is he a good person?
Right.
And you have to like, and then...
Yeah, but like when and
I'm not saying he's not, but like...
But I'm not saying he like...
Yeah.
When you look at his life, he and you compare it to like morality, maybe his life isn't moral. In some aspects, you know, like
he isn't. That's right.
You know,
yeah,
like he's a very
moral.
like when you want to compare him to like what people talk about Jesus or Muhammad, right? And Krishna, and like Krishna's a very different kind of God, you know.
Yeah, he's very like Odin in certain ways. Like,
he's a rascal.
He's a rascal. He's very like Odin. He's kind of like the Greek gods because their kind of divinity is associated with their power. And Krishna's is with his cleverness because...
But they're also like, when you want to talk about human emotions, he's also, in some ways, like guided by human feelings. You know, very not like he's like this divine spirit, you know, but he likes to play with girls.
Yeah.
You know, like he has, you know...
He gives into his impulses a lot.
He gives into his pulses, you know, just like you or me or anyone else, you know, would.
Yeah. He does that a lot, and he constantly tricks people or outthinks people instead of being like, no, don't do what's wrong, do what's right. He's just like, okay, you want to do what's wrong, you can do what's wrong. Right. But I have this guy in the back who's going to like shoot you.
You know, like even like the story when he was a baby, right? Like... You know, he was like, I think what was her name, Putina or something like that, where he sucks her breast, until she dies.
Right, yeah. She's a demon. She's a demon who fills her breast with poison. She's like, I'll kill Krishna.
He's like, fuck it, let's go.
And baby Krishna, who's also like baby Vishnu, essentially, he's just like, oh, I see the game, and then sucks out the poison and her soul. Yeah, and it's just like. This is for children, right? Like you look at the cover of the story, you're like, this is for children.
Well, I remember like the pictures I used to look at when I was a kid, right? It was like baby Krishna, this fucking big demon, ugly witch woman, with her nipples fucking shriveled up, and Krishna's there, and milk bliss, with his dead bitch lying down.
Yeah, man, like those old stories of Krishna, like. So the funny thing about those Krishna stories is that they probably, some people speculate that they came later than the actual Mahabharata.
Really?
Yeah. Because Krishna was essentially like this war strategist person who basically told Arjuna and the other Pandavas how to fight and win. Right? That was the whole point of that. The story that you told me earlier of Duryodhana and Krishna and Arjuna asking Krishna for his help. Right. Duryodhana's like he values only physical power. And money.
He wants the army.
Right.
He doesn't care about the man. He wants
his army. Right. And Krishna is like this gift in and of itself. So Arjuna's like, of course.
But Duryodhana doesn't see that.
He doesn't see that.
You know? Yeah. Arjuna sees it.
Yeah, that's above his ability to receive. Right. Arjuna sees it, so he takes Krishna. And so, like, the image, I think, of Krishna as this, like...
low, like, the chariot driver was, like, a low position. Not, you know, obviously a chariot driver is important, you know, but, like, oh, you're just gonna be the chariot driver for me? I'm not interested.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like,
Yeah, you're all right. Yeah,
you know, I got my own chariot drivers.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's very interesting that Krishna chooses to be a chariot driver when, for example, like Karna in the story, his adoptive parents are chariot drivers, and he's always seen as lesser for it
Right.
by all the other warriors of his time. They're like, oh, but he's like a chariot driver's son, and then Krishna chooses to be a chariot driver, and like suddenly it's a noble position. And I always feel like the people who wrote those ancient stories like knew which kind of society they were living in, but didn't know how to change it. So they just wrote about it and wrote the stories about it instead. Because, yeah, man, Karna, could spend a day talking about that guy. His life was just so tragic because essentially in the whole story, I think he's like the most tragic character because he gets abandoned at birth by his mother, who's a princess, but she has him out of wedlock, right? Essentially, that's what Karna is, a child out of wedlock, and she doesn't want the shame of having a child out of wedlock. So Kunti, that's the name of his mother, like she casts him into the river in a basket, like, I hope you find a good home, and she's really upset about it.
Right.
But then she goes off and gets married, and she's like, well, she forgets about it.
And then she has Yudhisthira and the Pandavas.
Yeah, she has Yudhisthira and all the other Pandavas. And, you know, Karna is a distant memory. Karna washes up at the banks of a river at the feet of a charioteer and his wife who've never been able to conceive. They take him in and they raise him as one of their own with all the love that parents would give. Karna is this young, strong, smart, strapping,
Amazing. I mean, like, he's
amazing.
amazing person.
Yeah,
Like
talented,
emotional, talented. Yeah, you
generous. He's called Danvir, I think is the name in that series, Durdarshan series. Generous. He's a generous man. And like he's, you know, always described as being resplendent like the sun. Like this is the kid everybody wants to have.
Right. I mean, he's almost like the brother that almost has no flaws.
Yeah.
Except for he was abandoned.
Except for that he was abandoned.
You know, like,
and what that does to his mind.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, and what that does to his future.
And to his future, because
like he should have been at the head of the table.
He deserved it. Yeah.
You know, we're sitting next to Yudhisthira, Arjuna, Bhima,
Right.
Nakula, Sahadev, like the whole fucking
right.
You know?
He should have been with all of them and
guiding them, leading them.
Yeah,
You know?
and he would have been good. And like because he got abandoned, it got into his head like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Because he could immediately tell, I'm strong and smart and everything. I'm clearly not their kid. I'm clearly not their kid. I love them, they're my parents, but I'm clearly not their kid. Something doesn't add up here. Why am I stronger and faster than everybody? Clearly I should be a warrior, is what goes through his head. And so he gets trained in the arts of war by in the story it's Parashurama, but like he gets trained, right? And he's amazing and talented. And he goes and tries to challenge like the local princes who happen to be none other than his own brothers, right? And he doesn't know that, but he's like, you guys are chumps. I'm amazing. I can beat you guys.
Kick your ass.
And then the question that gets asked to him is like, all these princes have lineages. I know their parents. I know their parents' parents. They have a long, illustrious line. Who are you and from whence do you hail? And Karna just starts crying. He's like, I don't have any parentage. I'm just me. And like, I always feel like the people who wrote those stories were very aware of that part of the injustice of a caste-based society.
Right, sure.
You know? Because like his whole character...
Or having a kid out of wedlock, right?
Yeah.
No marriage. You
and
know?
like how horrible that part of that institution is. Like the dark side of that.
Yeah, but it's in a way that's like such an like this guy who is like casted away becomes such a beloved character or a beloved person by everybody in the end, right? Like
in the end.
So it's like it's a good moral story,
right?
For people to grow up with and listen to.
It is. It's moral.
You know?
It is.
And I think that, you know, when we talk about like, I don't think that you or me or anybody can say that the Mahabharata really happened or happened in this way. We're not there. It's fucking fantastical. There's mystical beings involved and mantra arrows or whatever the fuck, right? Yeah. But like, no matter what though, like these stories, you know, including like Christianity, right? And stories about Jesus is that they're beautiful stories of morality. You know, like that people need to like, you know, listen to and understand.
Yeah,
You
preserve.
know, and maybe it gives people some kind of compassion or some intelligence or wisdom, you know, about how to live a good life, a proper life.
Right. It provides you like a certain foundation, I think, sometimes. And it also gives you things to, in a way, criticize. Like, it gives you food for thought, because, you know, you can't get to anything higher than what those stories offer without first starting there and being like, well, I don't agree. And then you have to find an intelligent reason for why you don't agree and stuff like that, you know. Those stories especially are very meaningful to me because, you know, there are so many characters in that particular epic that you can, at various points in your own life, see them in you or see yourself in them. Like, I won't keep going on about Karna. I don't want to be boring, but like, I'll just say this: like, he makes friends with Duryodhana, the big bad, right? Because Duryodhana, ironically, is the only person who shows him like unrestrained generosity. Because Duryodhana has only a few redeeming like moments in the story. Otherwise, he's like this. He's also womanizing,
And a lot of them were like
rapey.
Like a lot of, but even the Pandavas weren't like fucking.
Yeah.
I mean, they all share the same woman.
Yeah. Yeah. They're all flawed.
You know,
Horribly
they're all flawed. You know?
And Duryodhana does only one good thing with Karna. It's just like, you guys are all like preventing him from fighting when clearly he is
capable.
So if being a king is what makes him worthy of fighting, fine. I have a crown here. Here you go. Here's a crown. You're a king now. And Karna's like, oh my God, you're my friend. But like, he gives him like the full extent of friendship that anybody can give to another person, you know? And so like, and when Karna realizes that Duryodhana is a bad person and that he can easily abandon him and go to the Pandavas and nobody would blame him, he's like,
he's loyal.
No, I'm not abandoning my friend. Fuck all of you guys.
He was loyal to me.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about
like
this.
how deep his heart is. Like, he's a good guy. Yeah.
So one thing I don't remember is Karna. Does he know during the battlefield of Kurukshetra that he's fighting his brothers? So do you remember? Because I don't remember. Do you remember when or how, like?
Oh man, it's one of the most emotional scenes. It's like,
how they realize that they're brothers.
So they don't realize, the Pandavas don't realize they're fighting their brother, but Karna realizes because, well, he doesn't realize, Kunti, his mother, comes to him.
So Kunti knows him.
Yeah, she knows that he's her son because of his like armor and earrings. Like they're from the sun god, and she's like, oh wait, those are the same earrings of my baby boy.
That was the father.
Right, that's the son. Like the father is the sun god.
So the father knew all along.
Father knew all along. All the gods know. They're like watching her, like, oh my god, Jesus Christ. But like Kunti comes to him, and she comes to him on a day where he performs this ritual for himself, where he gives everybody everything they ask for, and even if it's bad for him, like he's completely generous on that day. So she goes up to him, goes to him on one of these days, and where he's defenseless essentially, and tells him, "I'm your mother," and he goes, "Why would you tell me this now? Because you know I'm about to fight. You know the Pandavas are going to fight me. I'm sworn to fight for Duryodhana, and now you want to tell me?
You want to show a bitch?
Yeah,
Right?
like
You know?
my 40 years of life I've lived and trained alone.
Happily.
It's not even happily. Like people,
Whatever, right? Yeah.
People are talking shit because I'm not a warrior of the warrior caste, but I try to be as much
A chariot driver or whatever.
Yeah. And like now you want to tell me I'm your son? I'm going off to war. And she's like, I'm so sorry for everything. It's like, no, sorry. It's like, look, you can't just come here and be like, I'm sorry. It's a really emotional thing because he's like, you know what you've done to me, right? Now I'm going to be fighting my own brothers. And I'm going to be trying to kill them because I'm sworn to fight. I'm not going to go back on my word just because you're like, I'm your mom, right? So what you've just done is add another layer of burden that I have to carry. Well done. Slow clap. Good job. And then she's like, at least promise me that, you know, you won't kill my sons. And he's like, again, asking for things that you don't deserve. Like, fine, I'll promise you this. either I die or Arjuna dies. That's it. Either way, you still have 5 sons. And that's a brutal scene because he's like, fuck you. You know, it was heartless. And then after that, Krishna comes to him and goes, nobody's going to blame you. Everybody knows that the Pandavas are good for this country and the Kauravas are bad. Like, nobody's going to blame you if you turn tail and fight for them. And I'll even tell everybody that you're a person of honor. I'll tell everybody, and because it's Krishna, everybody's going to believe me. Everything will be absolved. You'll be forgiven of everything. Just come and fight for the right side. Arjuna's like, listen, you know what my answer is going to be. All right, you're a smart guy. I'm not going to turn on my friend. This whole world has betrayed me, but I'm not of that I'm not of that cloth. Somebody gives me good stuff, I don't walk out on them. So you know what? I know he's a bad guy. I know Duryodhana's a bad dude, but I'm going to fight for him nonetheless. And Krishna's like, I do like you as a person, but I'm sorry this has to be the way it is. And so they like part ways as friends. Everybody like parts ways with him as friends.
Yeah, everyone likes him. I mean, like he's
it's such
like,
a sad story. Yeah.
Like, and I think like that's why like for me like no, it's not just obviously you too or many people like when they read the story about the Mahabharata and stuff like that, and this family is like they always have a connection with this character because he's such a good person but such an underdog.
Yeah, so human.
So human.
Because when he makes mistakes, like he also agonizes over things. Like, and when he does bad stuff, like he actually does like terrible stuff in the story. And then later on, you'll hear like a few lines about how he regrets it. He's like, I don't know what came over me. I don't know why I did that. Like, I'm kind of sorry about it. And you're like, oh man, why do you have to live so hard, dude?
Fuck, cheers to that, dude.
Cheers.
If you want lemon, dude, help yourself. I'm a lemon fan. So
try that out.
But yeah, dude, honestly, I've been wanting to have this conversation for a long time because not many people who I know can relate to like the stuff that I grew up with.
Right.
So it's cool to have you here. But
of course.
I want to talk about you a little bit.
Sure.
So like what brought you to China?
Brought me to China. I was doing like a lot of different like small jobs in Chicago where I live with my parents.
Mm-hmm. You went to university and shit like that?
No, yeah, I did. I went to Urbana-Champaign, so like 150.
What's it called?
Yeah, it's
or all I heard is like Urban Champaign.
Yeah, so it's like the name of the university is University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. Urbana is like one city, and Champaign's another city, like twin cities. And the
Champagne is same spelled like the French champagne, or is it something different?
Oh, it's a little bit different. Champ is Champ, CHAMP, and then AIGN, I believe. Yeah, AIGN.
Okay.
Yeah. Champagne. It's the defining characteristic is that people like potato skins.
Okay. Potato skins are delicious.
Just like everywhere else in Illinois.
Yeah.
I'm joking. They have like a sweet corn festival and stuff, which now that I said that out loud sounds very boring. Everybody in Champaign right now is like, God damn it. Now get him off. We need to represent our city properly. It's nice. It's a nice place.
Sweet corn's good, dude.
I like it. Yeah. It's really wholesome people that I've met there. Met some really good friends there. So
what'd you study?
Psychology. I was originally going to study physics and then realized that not doing homework was also not a good strategy. So
yeah, I hated homework.
Yeah.
I
just like read the book and went to the test, man. That's all I was good for. I was just like, you know what? I'm not.
I was just, dude. I stopped school at 17, so I can't compare it to like going to university. But like, my last year of high school was just like, don't do any homework, which was like 50% of the grade or some shit, and then the final examination, which was like 50% of the grade, and just read the book before the exam and hope for the best. Yeah. So I graduated with straight D's.
Fair enough.
Which is just enough enough to get me a certificate. That I graduated like, fucking.
You go to a college counselor, like, okay, you're not doing very well. No. I didn't ask him, like, what do I do to get the degree?
Well, I did that to it was not even it was high school counselor.
Oh, okay,
So I was just like, I did 2 years of school,
Yeah.
high school.
Yeah.
So freshman and sophomore, and then my parents moved. My parents moved back to Los Angeles, but I didn't want to move to Los Angeles at the time. I met a girl, and I wanted to go live in where she lived, and where
Sure.
she lived was also the same place that my grandparents lived. So
Yeah.
I just told my parents, I said, I want
Move there.
to live with my grandparents.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so it was just like, and they were like, whatever, cool, just, you know. And then I signed up. We have a junior college in
Yeah.
that same city. So before I even enrolled in the high school, I signed up for college classes, and I brought my mom with me, and we kind of like
Nice.
bullshitted our way
Okay. Cool.
to it. So
Yeah,
they put me in like at design and animation classes.
Oh, that must have been fun though. Yeah.
So I was 16 at the time.
Yeah.
And then I went to the high school and signed up for the high school because I
Right.
was just moving to the city.
Right.
And I talked to the counselor. I said, "Listen, I need to get out this year. I don't have 2 more years of high school in me. I
Right.
have 1 more year. So
Yeah.
I'm a junior now. Make my junior and senior year
Like 1 year.
1 year. What do I need to do to get the credits?
Right.
You know. So I've already signed up for college classes.
Right.
You can use those credits, right?" And I
Yeah.
said, "Yes, we can use those credits and apply them to the high school.
Mm-hmm.
But in order for you to graduate, you need to take this class and this class and this class.
All your
But there's
requirements.
night classes, there's adult school classes,
Oh, so there are
and there's
ways.
morning classes.
Yeah.
If you want to graduate from high school, you have to finish all these classes,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to get a D at least in every single one.
Yeah.
Boom. Enough
Nice.
said."
Nice.
So, and all the college classes, I got A's because it was like stuff I was into,
Right.
You know, about graphic design and
Sure.
art,
Yeah. Put your energy where
you
you
know.
want to put
And
it.
all
Yeah.
the high school classes, I graduated straight D's. So like, I was like as far as academically,
Yeah.
out of my graduating class,
Right.
I was the lowest person
Yeah.
out of like 300 kids
Fair.
to graduate.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like, but you got what people don't see is that you got the goal though.
I did what
You
I
got
wanted.
the goal that you wanted to get.
And so as a graduation present, going back to India,
Yeah.
my father was like, "I buy you a round trip ticket.
Yeah.
I don't give you money to like travel or have fun, but
Right.
you got a round trip ticket to where you want to go to."
Cool.
So I was like, India.
Nice.
You know, that's what it's. I grew up with all these crazy stories.
You got to see it for
You
yourself
know?
now.
So I was only supposed to go for 3 months and then come back, but then I ended up getting a job there, and so 3 months turned into 2 years because I was working on this Hare Krishna temple that in
Oh,
Delhi,
cool. Yeah. Yeah.
and doing like whatever they needed for this museum that they were building. The prime minister at the time of India, he came to like the opening. This was 98.
Yeah.
I mean, in Delhi, so like the Hare Krishna and the political people were very connected,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. So like he came to the opening. It was a very cool experience for me, you know.
Yeah. That must have been really
So-
awesome.
So,
Yeah.
but you decided to go for psychology
Yeah. Yeah. Psychology. Yeah. It was
instead of physics.
instead of physics.
That was
Yeah.
because like
I wasn't.
I mean, you're good at math.
I was good. Was.
Was.
Once. Yeah. Like good is a strong word. I was practiced at it. So like I knew what I knew and I knew what I didn't know. Right. And I knew how to get what I didn't. I knew how to learn what I didn't know how to learn. What I didn't know how to do. But my only problem was that I just didn't want it. Like the only reason I was doing physics is that it was the very stereotypical it'll make my parents happy thing. So
physics,
yeah, physics.
right? Because that's like a path, like a doctor, a scientist, or some
yeah,
kind of like
engineer,
big paid job.
It's like a list of things. What will make an Indian parent happy?
Right.
Throw a dart.
No, were
Okay,
were your
scientist.
parents like very like the tiger mom or tiger dad?
Kind of,
You
but they
know?
kind of relaxed after a while because I kind of just didn't listen, you know. And they're like, okay, well, he's not gonna listen. Screw it, just let him do what he wants. And I joining college because I always wanted them to be happy. I just didn't want them to have to. Well, I just didn't want them to think that I had to do whatever they wanted to do. You know. So I dropped out. I didn't drop out. I like stopped going for a while. I took a leave of absence or whatever you call it.
From Champagne School?
Yeah, from Champagne School. Which sounds awesome. Not the kind of Champagne School you're thinking about.
Right.
But
Bubbles and bitches, man.
Bubbles and bitches, yeah. What a great school that would have been. Wish I went to that school. But no, I took a leave of absence from that and just kind of audited courses in Chicago. I just lived with my parents for about 6 months. And I think that kind of fixed most of my problems academically. Because I was like, okay, what is something that I'm interested in, either philosophy or psychology? So I just kind of rolled the dice on that, studied psychology. And then I was working a couple years later, thanks to a recommendation from a friend, at a group home for teenagers who had been, for lack of a better word, neglected or abused by their homes, and were living in a foster center or like a network of like foster homes. So I was a counselor.
That's fucking rough, dude.
It's a rough one. It was very rough. I've told this particular story to my close friends. So one of the kids there, all 8 of the kids there had really rough upbringings. But one of them, I think, was kind of like psychopathic, because I read his case file, and part of my project, because this was part of a course. This was an internship that was part of a course. And one of the requirements for both the internship and the course was that I do like a detailed write-up, diagnosis or prognosis of what this person was going to end up being like, right? And this dude essentially, without giving too much information, is like tried to be very violent with his family, like horrifically violent. We're talking like, serial killer kind of stuff. And I remember being in that interview room with him, with the main office, and there should have been somebody there, right? Mm-hmm. But like I'm just like writing all this stuff down.
He's just telling you like what he went through?
Yeah, just telling you like what he went through, like what he tried to do. And like at some point you're writing this stuff down, you just like stop writing, you like look up, and he's just looking at me. Right. I'm just like, huh. Yeah,
they didn't teach this at Champagne School.
They didn't teach you shit about this. No number of straight A's could have got me prepared for that. And I worked my ass off at that degree too, because I did get good grades, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna do well at this, and I did well at this, and I was good at least the school, like the academic part of psychology, but. After that, because that kid also tried to get me in like rooms alone with him and stuff like that, and I never really got the impression that anything good was going to come out of those interactions. So I was like, doorstairs open, buddy. Like you want me to come in and play PlayStation? That door remains open, and there's at least like one other kid there. Right. So like, yeah, and there was just stuff like that. All the other kids, the 7 other kids who weren't psychopathic, they were just broken in certain ways. Only one really like made it out, and he's a nurse now. He has his kids and a wife and a car and house and everything.
You still in contact with them, or you just kind of?
He calls me once in a while. I was in Vietnam in 2019, right, with my friends for the national holidays. My first year here, and he was like, Rajiv, what's going on, man? Like, how you doing? I was like, man, it's good to hear from you. I was like, how's life going? He was like, I've got all this stuff. And I was like, motherfucker, you're doing better than I am right now.
I'm just fucking out in Vietnam smoking weed. I don't know if you're doing it. Sorry.
No.
Whatever.
But just messing around, having fun. I'm just like, you have more of your life figured out right now at the age of 22 than I have at like 27. Thank you, goodbye. I'm not kidding.
So they were teenagers and you were like, what, 22, 23?
23, yeah. And yeah, man, it was brutal because I kind of
because even at like, not to cut off your story, but even at like 23, like you don't have your shit together totally. And then you have to, like, these kids are like, they're so...
Counsel?
A lot of them are so like you said, it's so broken, or they come from such fucked up backgrounds. It's like how do you deal with that? Like, I think, but at the same time, it's like like the fact that you have a connection with this guy that who you know, were
Yeah,
part of his life, you know,
right.
and a positive part of his life, and he still remembers you and calls you. It's like,
Yeah.
it's so important that these people at that age, especially they're teenagers, you know, like, especially people who have such a dark history,
Right.
they have somebody that they can relate to,
And rely
confide
on.
in, you know,
Yeah.
rely on, you know, have
That-
have a friendship with,
Yeah.
you know, whatever, right? Like
Yeah, absolutely.
some normal things, and you know,
A sense of like stability, you
and
know.
appreciation,
Yeah,
you
and
know, like,
appreciation.
and respect.
Yeah.
You know, like, well, I mean, I imagine a lot of these kids come from abusive, broken homes, you know, where
Oh yeah, those case files were pretty gnarly.
such a lack of love,
Yeah.
you know. So, and love comes from in so many different levels, you know, even on the smallest of just
Yeah, I was
saying
gonna
good
say,
morning
yeah.
to some of these people.
Consistency, even the small
know?
consistency in even the smallest things can be an act of love. Yeah.
And so, like, you say good morning to your office worker, you know, how you doing?
Right.
It's such a small thing, but for them, it might be such a fucking
Yeah.
big, you
Yeah,
know.
you know, like, hey, I'm getting a cup of coffee. Do you want something? And that alone might be enough, because you
Yeah,
know, you
man.
never know. You never know what somebody's going through. That's for sure. I mean, and I'm always really grateful that one kid. Well, he's not a kid anymore, but like calls, or like I can find him on Facebook, and I'm sure that he hasn't called recently, but I'm sure that if I reached out to him, he'd be like, "Hey, man, good to hear from you."
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk to
Yeah,
you, you know.
really always like chipper, positive, very jolly guy, smart too, really smart guy. And even though he went through a lot, like I don't think he ever lost cheer. Something that I respect so much, because you know we never know how fragile or strong we are. I think, you know, especially going through this pandemic. I think all of us, especially as expats, because I know I was talking to you about this like before, but regardless if you're a teacher, if you're a business owner, or this or that, just like going through the pandemic, I think kind of shocked everybody, just because we'd never really been tested like that. Tested is not the nicest word, but that's the only word that comes to mind.
We never experienced something like that before.
Yeah, yeah, and we never know like what will kind of break us apart. And these kids had really had everything thrown at them.
Right. More than that most people can imagine.
Yeah, or want to even try to dare, to think about. So,
I mean,
yeah.
like, when you talk about the pandemic, like, I could say that, like, for me personally, like, the pandemic was an inconvenience, but it was not like emotionally damaging for me. You know,
Yeah,
what these kids go through is like, and they're such like young souls. It's emotionally damaging for their,
extremely.
and they'll keep some of that damage no matter how positive they are. Or,
Yeah.
you know, it's always there's always going to be some sadness or broken part,
Yeah,
you know,
because
of
these are
their
the-
life inside of their soul.
These
you
are
know?
their formative years.
You know?
So some part that has been like twisted or contorted, even if it's bent back into a proper shape,
For sure.
the scars, the marks will still be there. That's definitely true. Like, I asked some of the kids, I asked one of them that I have on Facebook as a contact, like what the others are doing these days, and like most of them have got stable jobs. Unfortunately, one of them is in prison. So
That's the other
that's
route.
That's the other route. So, and one of them is still going through like assisted living stuff, just because they have so many mental issues, and it really, that experience is part of what brought me to China, because I people said when I was a boy that I was talented. Or teachers said that I was good at school. Like, you're fast, you can get stuff. Like, you're not a dumb guy at all. You can definitely go places. And then I kind of decided that I was going to apply myself to this big dream of being like a therapist or a counselor. I'm going to help people with their problems, kind of thing. Get this internship, and
Internship in the U.S.
In the U.S., yeah, at this children's home, right?
The one that we were talking about.
That we were just talking about, and suddenly realized, like, no, I can't just be a counselor. I have no life experience. Just because I get a bunch of A's doesn't mean anything. And that you might say like, oh yeah, you should have seen that coming, but like nobody really sees that coming if they think about it. It takes more than just being smart, to
Well, also it's a big difference of like talking about something in a classroom and dealing with something in real life.
yeah, that's one big part of it.
It's like it's a total. And unless like the classroom is that you need to deal with these kind of people or these kind of emotions, nothing can prepare you for that kind of job or that kind of experience.
Nothing can.
Nothing. I mean,
Nothing can.
like you said, like the one kid, like he comes from a background where everything is broken.
Yeah.
And yet sit on a table like we are.
Yeah.
And talk to him.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing.
It's like nothing can prepare you for that.
Nothing can prepare you for that. And it's like, how do you become a person who can talk to people about their problems? I think partially it might sound like a kid talking here, but I was like, I need to see more of the world around me. And the jobs that I was doing at that time before I came to China, like working in call centers, coffee shops, theaters, stuff like that, because I just didn't want to do social work at the time. It was like that was a very
you had enough from that.
I had enough. I was also very soft, like because I went to like a private school, Indian American family. They're very protective, very sweet, very nurturing. Go outside for the first time. It's like that story of Siddhartha Gautama, right? He goes outside of his palace and then finds the suffering of the world, right? It was the same exact experience, and I was like, I don't know what the answer for this is.
Your bubble was popped.
Yeah, the bubble popped. Yeah, it was what anybody with like an abundance of money from mom and dad goes through when they encounter any sort of harshness. And so I was like, no, I need actually more. I need to see what else is out here. So I decided I'd like, I don't know, throw a dart at like a map, and I was like, ESL teaching is an easy way to make money. I can do that. I can definitely do that. So I was like, what's the easiest places? Middle East, Japan, Korea, China. Okay, I have a family friend who's from China. Maybe I can get some Chinese
Yeah, it's
lessons.
right across the border from India.
Yeah.
So easy flight to fucking
right.
get them chai and
Yeah. So I just was like, okay, screw it. I'll just go to live in Shenzhen. And so I made up my mind, got the visa and everything, and got that TEFL thing, whatever, and then
TEFL. Yeah, I don't even know what that is. I'm not here about it, but it's like
it's nothing. It's like a certificate that basically allows you to teach English to people who don't know English. But it's just like.
So I was just talking to somebody about this TEFL thing. It's like, like when I was living in the U.S., I've never heard of this fucking TEFL thing. Is this something that's like made up in China or made up in?
Well, it's definitely made up. It's
like in non-English speaking countries where you need this certificate.
So it's this certificate that's generally acknowledged.
Because I mean, like your degree in whatever you do,
your degree is far more meaningful.
It's far more meaningful.
Right.
So,
a TEFL is essentially just like a certificate saying that this person knows
English,
knows how to teach, or essentially knows how to communicate, and what they're essentially prepared to do is teach English grammar and vocabulary to people who don't know English grammar or vocabulary. But it's just, in and of itself, it just means kind of nothing. Most of those TEFL certifications are like a 100 level college class about mostly nothing, if I'm being honest. Yeah, it's just how to build a lesson plan and then how to develop materials for that lesson. That's the bulk of what you learn. And like very basic teaching techniques. Like one of them is called like TPR, total physical response, where you mime everything that you do in order to teach people. It's what you kind of do naturally without thinking about it, talking with your hands and stuff, to kids especially. But the certificate's just used so that employers know that you're capable of doing the job. But I've also met so many people with TEFLs that don't know how to teach it at all.
Not capable of doing the job.
It's just like, well, what does this certificate really mean? Nothing. So, yeah.
But so who created it? Do you know? Like who created this fucking?
I'm ashamed to say I don't know. Yeah.
Exam. Like, was it an American institution, a British, European institution?
So I got
Asian institution.
So I can say that the place where I took my course, I got it from a school in the UK essentially. So it's like a UK run organization. So it's like, I think it's called like International TEFL Academy, and like the specific certificate that I got was printed out and mailed from me from the UK. So mailed to me from the UK. So yeah.
Okay. So it's a UK thing.
I think so. Yeah.
Maybe
yeah.
a British thing.
Yeah.
British
It's silly,
teaching
though.
in English, British teaching in India.
Yeah.
It's like the foundation.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can take the Tefla.
Yes. I will have one TEFL only.
One Tefla.
I joke about this with my friends a lot. We Indians say only a lot when they say like we're going to choose one option. I will have I don't know. I'll have
One chapati only.
only one chapati only. There we go. That's a good one. One glass only. Right. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. So fucking, you took the Tesla.
Yeah.
You passed it, no
I
problems.
wish I had a Tesla.
Yeah, right.
Tefl.
Different kind of.
Yeah.
No, Tesla is
TEFL.
Tefl.
TEFL. Yeah.
Yeah.
I took it. I went to China and everything. And
So you took it before you came here.
yeah, I took it before I came here. I came here. So funny thing.
So you had a friend living in Shenzhen. It was like, yeah, come to Shenzhen and you get a fucking easy job.
Yeah. So a really good high school friend of mine, one of my best friends in the world, is he was married there and he was teaching English, and now he's a teacher in Chicago.
Okay. He's married in China.
He was married in China. Yeah. And he and his wife moved. They unfortunately separated. But still love him both, and he's such a great guy, really smart, really nice guy, and he teaches in Chicago now, which I'm just like, man, that's a tough gig, teaching in Chicago, but
Public school.
CPS baby, yeah, Chicago public schools. He's a math teacher too. He's awesome, and he was here in 2019. 2019 was to be his last year. And I moved to Shenzhen in February 2019. And the first thing I did that week was like get situated. It's like, his name's Tyler. It's like, Tyler, how the fuck do you make a lesson plan, man?
That's what you asked him?
Yeah, it's like, man.
But they don't provide you with a lesson
man.
plan? They don't give you like, hey, this is the lesson plan you have to teach your students?
So my first school, they're like...
It was like a...
Public school.
So Chinese public school.
Chinese public school.
Okay.
So I came here through a recruiting organization, I think called Haida. And they were nice to me because they helped me find an apartment. They helped me get my first phone. Still have the same phone number, you know, mostly through laziness, not trying to change the phone number. But like, helped me find the school, and then the school was like, cool, you're an English teacher. And I was like, yes, I'm your English teacher. Where's my office? They're like, there's your office. I was like, this is great. What do I do? Like, as I know you want me to teach English. Where's my schedule? They gave me my schedule. And it's like, okay, what are my materials? Anything to work with? Printer. There's like a printer downstairs and a computer upstairs. And that's it.
So let's give it like an empty desk.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Welcome to your first day of teaching.
Yeah. So I immediately went to my friend Tyler and I was like, dude,
what do I do?
please
Give me some insight.
So yeah, he helped me with some like English games and stuff like that, and I just started making up lesson plans on my own, and then I was just living in China. So I mean,
it's crazy, right? Like
yeah.
it's a school system, a public school system.
Yeah.
It's not like extracurricular after school program like Wall Street or something like that. It's like
it's a public school,
and they don't have any. Like you would think, like first grade, like it's in U.S., right?
Yeah.
First grade. You learn this. Second grade, you learn this, right? Third
there's
grade,
a curriculum and everything.
Yeah, there's already established curriculum, but here is just like.
I mean, for me, because they didn't know what I was supposed to be doing, and I was like, "You guys don't have a textbook?" They're like, "No." You don't have this? You're like, "No." You don't have that? I'm like, "No." I was like, "Oh, so what do I? So you want me to come up with all of it?" Yes, the world is your oyster, and I was like, "Ha ha ha ha."
What were the age of the kids?
So my first sets of students were fifth graders and sixth graders, so 10 years old, 11 years old, going on 12. So
right.
I liked that age group.
Yeah,
and I'm better teaching now than then. So
it's a good. I think that age group is probably like. I don't know. I've never taught in my life, but like it's before they hit puberty and get weird.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, but they're smart enough and they're old enough to like, have a personality and know some shit.
Right.
Right. And
I think like being very emotive and expressive always helps with them. Like overly emotive, overly expressive, always making jokes, always cracking stuff. That's why I started doing like those open mics in Shuiwei at some point, like last year.
Yeah. So you never thought about comedy before in the U.S.?
I mean, like, you know, anybody who's ever been told they're funny probably imagines themselves being like a comedian, or anybody who's ever told like you sing well imagines themselves being a singer, and so on. But very few people actually get out and do it because the fantasy is so alluring that you want to keep that. So I was like, okay, I'm funny, I'm cool. And then one of my friends, Kurt, actually, it was like,
Simper?
yeah. He was like, you're really funny. You're incredibly funny. And he kept telling me that. And I usually don't receive feedback like that. So I was like, okay, clearly there's something to this. Otherwise, he wouldn't be saying it. So, and a few other people told me that I had potential. Oh, yes, please.
Oh, fuck, dude. Can change your life tonight.
Yep. Hell yeah. So some people told me I had potential. Al said, like, you know, Al. Like,
Yeah. He was the guy that recommended for you to come on the podcast.
Yeah, I thanked him profusely for that. That was really nice of him. He told me that I could be really fucking funny. His words, not mine. So if I fail, it's on him. But you know, I kept getting that feedback. It's like, okay, screw it, I'll just try it out. So I started trying to make one-liners. But like, I don't know. My jokes aren't for everybody. I
think like being funny and being a stand-up comedian are two different games entirely, two different things entirely. You know, it's like
right.
A lot of my friends are funny, but they're not going to be
comics.
You know, they're not going to be comics. You know, it's very like hard to be a comic.
Yeah,
you know, and it takes balls, dude. It takes balls to like get up there, you know, stand in front of a room of people
and say what you think is funny.
You know, try to make them laugh, or try to you know, even if you don't make them laugh, try to entertain them. You know, in some sense. You know, like otherwise, it's like fuck, like next.
Yeah,
you know, like
I mean, man, I can't tell you the number of times I've just gone up during open mics and just like froze in the past year. And then just like started with a joke, like one person laughs, and like the worst part is like one person will laugh, nobody else laughs, and you're like, oh, my confidence is going up, I can do this. And then you look back at your phone, because like most open micers have their
notes, right? They're not on top of their head. Right?
Yeah, because they're not on top of their head. Like, 'cause you're always trying something new, you're always trying to test it. And like I'll always write it down in my notes, and I'll just have it, one person will be laughing, and I'm like, I know this is good. Why am I fucking freezing? I know this is good. This is I had this experience on Thursday, right? The past few weeks, I have not been bombing.
So you've gone to Cafe Society open mics?
Yeah. So I do this.
Have you performed at Mamba open mics?
I've done a Mamba before. Yeah. So funny story. My first joke was
where'd you perform the first time?
It was Mamba.
Was it Mamba?
It was Mamba. Yeah. And it was the joke that I wanted to do was about like the country Turkey being renamed Turkiye. Because I was like in the middle of, you know, Russia declaring war with Ukraine and all this stuff happening. The pandemic is still going on. Nobody's happy. And the country Turkey is just like, no, hold on. I just need to correct all of you about what you need to call me. And I wanted to make a joke about it. The joke itself is absolute dog shit. It's a terrible joke. It's a terrible joke. It makes nobody laugh. But I had one line that made everybody laugh because I in the list of things that were bad about 2022, I forgot that Russia declared war on Ukraine. And so I was like, oh yeah, there's a war going on. Like a week after it had been declared, and everybody's just started bursting out laughing. I was like, how did you fucking forget that after a week? Right. And so I think that's what gave me my first clue on how to tell a joke.
Right.
It was like that failure was like, oh, everybody else has this thing in their heads. So if you just kind of like zigzag, that immediately jars people, but you can't do it in a way that makes them angry. So like, I started trying to. This is my only use of Instagram, which is why people get like incredulous with me. Like you don't use Instagram to like look at women. Like no, just comedy segments,
Right.
all over my Instagram. So like it's mostly English comics actually, and like Jimmy Carr is like number one on there because I'll see him say a sentence and an entire room full of people just dies,
Burst.
just dies, and I've tried to study that. So I have like maybe 4 or 5 jokes that are like consistently good, and like 20 that are just shit. But man, I could. I'm nowhere near the best person there even. But like I'll just try to make stuff when I show up. Like when I'll try to just keep making jokes. Sometimes I'll. The other thing is like you're saying, it takes balls. It takes balls because sometimes you have an idea and in your own head it takes a tone, and when it takes a certain tone, it is funny, and you know why it's
Also,
funny.
like some things are funny to you, but not to other people.
Right, because
you
you
know?
see it just from that angle.
Or you have a memory of the,
Right.
situation, or
Right.
if you tell a joke based on half truths or truth,
Right.
but they don't understand the context or the relationship that you
Right.
have with the experience.
Yeah. Yeah, like and some things just make certain people laugh because they know what you're trying to tell them.
Right.
Because like one-on-one, I can make people laugh a lot. But to a room, it's a different format. Like one of my friends, we were at a tea house, right? And one of those like Cantonese pop songs was playing.
Which one? Who?
One of these like pop songs that was really somber and sad, and they were having like this weird like performance outside in these traditional dresses, and it must have been about like true love or something, because that just watching them outside, and those pop songs really annoy me because I was like, if you guys really wanted to have a tranquil environment, you wouldn't be playing this shit out here, right? And me and my friend were just laughing about it because we were like, oh, this song is clearly about like true love, never-ending relationships, and stuff
Forbidden
like that.
love.
Yeah,
Which is what every Indian movie's about.
yeah. But I was like, I'm not that kind of person. Forbidden love, true love. I'm like the kind of person, if you open my phone, there might accidentally be like a Pornhub tab on it. And we started going into it, just shooting the shit. And that's funny. You can like generate a joke just by like riffing off each other. Because I have all my other friends who do open mics, and they riff off each other and then just generate jokes, After a while, like a few of these, and then the jokes just keep going. You know what I mean? I've been trying to study that, and it's so annoying because sometimes I'll make a joke that's good, or I'll have an idea that's good, and my friends will see it and they'll read it, and they're like, you get the smile, like, oh, it's good, it's a good idea, but then telling it is a different beast. It's man, I'm gonna start bitching like so much. It's so
No,
tough.
it's cool. I mean, like,
It's so tough sometimes.
like it's I've been listening to like Joe Rogan since he's almost like started his podcast, right? And it's
Love that podcast.
it's fucking like when he was back with like I remember like working some bullshit job in the U.S. and listening to Joe, and he was still with Red Band, like Brian Red Band was like still his like co-host or co-creator of the show, but like just listening to that like podcast was like it gave me so much like appreciation for stand-up comedians and that art form, because
I love it.
It's such a like as he said, like there's probably only like maybe 300 to 500 people doing this job,
Thing. Right.
stand-up comedy. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of people who are trying and doing open mics, and
But doing it is a
but like it's a very small percentage of people globally that are doing this as a living, and in order to get to that place, you have to fucking grind, in these small open mics, in these small clubs.
Right.
You have to, as he was said, you have to eat 1,000 dicks, like, which means, it just means like bombing, on stage. But, you need that to like learn,
Yeah.
Yeah. And grow from it. It's like most people, they go up once. And I've seen that Mambo. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, it's fucking comedy. Let me try. They go up once,
And they break.
the fucking
Yeah.
get nothing, no response, and that's the last time they ever tried it.
You can see it happen.
You know,
Yeah.
it happens all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and like, I'm not gonna like, for me, like I was very like happy that Mambo was like part of the comedy community, you know, but I think like it's so hard. Like I don't know, like if your intention of doing this is just doing it as a hobby, or if it's something that you want to, you know, like continue like as a career.
I don't know if it's something that I want to continue as a career, because I don't know what I'm capable of. I'm a very I hate my own mental makeup sometimes. I'm very unconfident, but I want. Well, I'll tell you what I want is the skill. I want to be good at it. Like I just want to be excellent at whatever I'm doing. I want to be excellent at it. Like, and I picked the worst skills. The only thing I'm really good at is like Super Smash Brothers. Like I'm excellent at that. Like, and it's fucking dumb. You can ask Kurt about it too. It's like. He probably like he's probably joking when he says like I'll never invite him to play like Super Smash Brothers, but like he's probably also kind of not joking because I take it way too seriously, and like I want to take that mentality, just apply it instead to comedy, because like or to anything that I choose to make from now on, because like sometimes I'll have a joke that's good, and I'll know, you know, and the thing is I want to be excellent at that. I don't know if I want a career out of it. I just want the skill.
I think, and this might piss off a lot of people, I think if as a warm-up,
Yeah.
you know, this community in Shenzhen is very good. You're right to
agree.
see if you want to do stand-up comedy.
Right.
If it's something that you actually want to pursue,
Yeah.
as a career,
Yeah.
this is the worst place to do it, you know. But like,
Yeah.
in this community,
Well, you're so restricted.
you're so restricted in
Without
so many
going
ways,
into the nature of the
you know?
restriction, but like, yeah, you're restricted. Yeah.
And it's just not this. It's not the like if you want to do it, you need to go to New York,
Yeah, you
Austin,
need to go where.
Los Angeles,
Yeah, Chicago.
you know, like, you know, anywhere where there's fucking a scene,
Yeah.
and that's gonna tell you
Like what?
where you are,
Right.
you know. Like here, it's like, I mean, I love comedy, and I watch a lot of comedy specials, and I follow a lot of comedians and stuff like that. But like, it's so like, it's a restricted community, first off, and this is a small community,
Yeah.
right?
Very
And
well.
a lot of times, like, you know, like even like in the Mambo open mics, right? Most of the time, you're telling the same jokes to the same people, you know, night after night. You know, it's maybe like 10%, 20% of the audience has changed,
Yeah.
but most of the time, it's the same people. And it's not really like a good gauge of
Yeah.
how you
good your-
progress.
Yeah.
you
How
know,
good
or
your jokes are.
how good your jokes really are, you know?
Right. Yeah, I found the same thing to be true of like.
And if you're going to get serious about it, go to Hong Kong, go to
Yeah.
Shanghai, go to Beijing,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Like this is such a small bubble.
Right.
And this, I mean, it's very cool that this bubble exists, and I love this bubble, you know,
Yeah.
because I have a appreciation for stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
But like, if you're gonna be, if you want to elevate yourself in that direction,
Right.
you need
Other
to,
places
You need to go other. Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
You know.
That's the thing. Like a good friend of mine, he goes to Hong Kong. Open
Yeah.
mics.
Do you remember Troy? Troy was an American guy.
I know that name. Yeah.
You might have missed each other, like, because I think he left just before COVID.
I feel like I know that name. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's a black guy from the U.S.
Yeah.
You know, and he used to go to the Hong Kong comedy nights, open mics all the time.
Right. In Nanshan, right?
he lived he used to go to Hong Kong.
Okay.
He lived in Futian,
Lived in Futian, yeah.
but then he would travel. He'd go to Hong Kong and perform there,
Yeah.
and just to
Just to try it out.
expand his the circle.
Sure, yeah.
And also like the Shenzhen scene and the Hong Kong scene are
Vastly different.
two different beasts.
Well, yeah, because Hong Kong is so like culturally just different.
Culturally different. It's almost like they have a Western mentality.
Yes.
Compared to China.
Right.
Right, which are mostly Westerners, but like within the restrictions of being in China.
Right.
And with a Chinese audience.
Yeah. Certain things that you're allowed to joke about and not.
Right. So.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. It's because of those restrictions, you're kind of handicapped. Yeah. But
yes and no.
Yeah.
If you're a funny ass dude.
Yeah.
There's the restrictions don't really.
You don't have to.
You don't have to go in that direction.
Right.
There's tons of shit to be funny about.
Yes, that's also true.
Like you can that cannot be an excuse.
Right.
As why you're funny or not.
Yeah, that's very true.
There's a more mature. What I think there's a more mature audience in Hong Kong than Shenzhen, as far as like your level of comedy goes. Yeah.
I would be inclined to agree because I want to go one night and check it out. So I do want to do well at this. It's also just that like sometimes because I feel that, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong about this. Sometimes because the joke that I wanted to do on Thursday was like, okay, now I'm gonna say it. Fuck. You
don't have to say if you don't want to.
No.
I'm not trying to knock on your comedy or comedy in Shenzhen.
Oh, I know.
I'm just saying like.
It's a different scene. If you want to get better, you have to travel to different places.
Yes,
expand.
I
completely agree. So. Like, and that's the thing is like sometimes I don't know whether what's in my head is gonna be good or not. So like trying it out. Like the joke that I wanted to do was like, was me starting and saying like sometimes I tell like racist jokes to my friends, to my white friends, so they'll feel that they can tell racist jokes to me, and then I'll pretend that I'm offended. And I'm like, right, and that's the premise of the joke, right? And then I wanted to just like wait for like zero reactions where people would be like, "Oh, that's not funny," and then I'd be like, "Listen, if you're a person of color in the crowd, you're full of shit. Don't tell me you've never ever thought of doing that at all." Like that was gonna be the joke, the direction that I wanted to go for that joke. But the moment I went from part 1 to part 2, because like part 1 you're laughing, right? Part 2 wasn't really as funny because I was like, oh no, that's too personal. Shit. Because like I have an idea, and then I kind of veer off and take a left turn. So sometimes that's the thing. I need to go to Hong Kong, or I need to go to other places where I can test out different ideas and see what people are responsive to.
Also, too, like what I was talking about before is like, for me, like when I was there on Thursday at Mambo, it was like the same jokes, the same people, almost the same thing,
practicing the same
jokes, same people, which you guys need, which comedians need.
Right.
They need to practice material,
right?
Unfortunately, in Shenzhen, you don't have the opportunities to practice different rooms like you would do in a big American city or a big city.
Unfortunately,
you know.
So you're forced to travel.
Yeah. But like you, as a comedian, you need to practice your joke in this room, that room, that room, that room.
Yeah.
And then you can like start to see what works, what doesn't. Right. Start to fix it, start to improve it, try different things, see how the things work.
Right. Change the sentence here.
Change the sentence.
Right.
Change the flow. Change the story progression, or whatever. Right. Change
like the pace of it.
The delivery.
Right.
Yeah,
delivery is a lot sometimes because I always end on one joke that I have as like my last line of defense if a crowd is not laughing. And the joke is always like, I hate this joke now because I do it all the time. Because like and that's the other thing. I do jokes, and I'm definitely not the best person there. I've met really talented people there, and like see them doing the same jokes too sometimes, because like
They all do.
yeah, and I kind of hate doing the same jokes just because I'm like, man, I know this inside and out. Why am I being so uncreative? I want to take some risks.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, in the small, if I was a comedian, I want to take. I don't want to show up at this same Thursday open mic here with the same shit.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Because like, and that's why I wanted to do that other joke, and I was like, fuck, maybe this is too like harsh or something.
Oh, you just gotta go for it, man.
You gotta go for it.
You just can't.
Sometimes I'm brave and sometimes I'm not. But like,
I mean, like, I love when comedy could say faggot and could say retard,
right?
And just be like totally just
balls to the wall,
to the walls.
Yeah,
you know, insensitive.
Yeah,
you know, but also funny.
Right.
You know, like you just gotta just go for it. You know, just like fucking if you want to try it, you know?
Right.
And especially like in a community that we're in Shenzhen, where it's so small.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well. You know, like nobody's gonna say like sorry.
Yeah.
Like you're too insensitive for Thursday open mic. You know, like we can't have you here. You know, like I don't think so. I mean, like. Anyways, man, like
the guy talking about midget porn, we can tolerate that.
You know?
But you, not
right?
you.
You know, it's just like, man, just fucking go, just try. You know, like, and definitely like, if my only suggestion is if you're serious about this, I think I've only seen you once.
Yeah,
I don't remember you being at Mambo. I know I listened to some of your stuff at the music night that Kurt did at
his integration show.
Yeah. I wasn't paying that, honestly. I wasn't paying that close of attention. I was filming a bunch of
back
shit.
Back in October.
It was a few months ago. Yeah.
December or October?
No, it was before that.
Then it must have been
It was like the first one.
Yeah, the first one must have been October, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, man, if you're serious about this, dude.
Yeah.
And I fully support it, and I'm not trying to knock on the scene here. I love the scene here.
Yeah.
You know, just fucking just push it.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, go to Hong Kong, go to fucking different places. You know.
That's the thing.
And practice.
I think I'm gonna try to free up Tuesday nights and like try to go with my friend Steven, who's also he does this thing called Big Bear Comedy.
I know Steven.
Yeah. And I love him. He's a good guy, and he was the one who got me into like, because he kept peer pressuring me into his like you'd think he was trying to get me to drink or something. You know, he's just like, no, tell jokes. It's like, okay, fine, I'll tell a joke. Are you happy? And he was like, no, tell more jokes. I was like, damn it.
Yeah, Steven's good, man.
Yeah.
No, like Steven, Dwight, Neto, they're all the three big bears. You know, Ryan.
Oh yeah, Ryan. I like Ryan. Yeah.
Ryan's great, dude.
Yeah, he's very encouraging to me. Like whenever I do jokes, like he'll once in a while he'll be like, maybe try to delay this and do that. Like,
yeah, you need that kind of. I mean, it's what I love. So like I a little bit I shat on the comedy scene here, but what I do love about it is that it's a very supportive and encouraging community.
That's one of the best aspects of it.
Of comedians, you know.
Yeah.
And going back to what I was saying earlier is that if you find that this is something that you truly love, and you want it's a good place to find that love,
right,
and find that passion,
and
then if you feel that this is the direction that you want to put your life life towards, then make a move to another place and continue. But this is like while you're working your job or while you're doing other things.
There's a good starting point.
You know, it's a good it's an incubator.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And if you feel that the incubation is strong, and this is the direction you want to go,
yeah,
fucking A, dude.
Yeah, man. It's something that I like to do, because I don't know where it's gonna go. Because I'm not even looking to get paid. It's just like the skill of it. I just want the skill.
Yeah, and also too, it's like the skill of like standing up in front of a crowd of people
And entertaining.
And or also
cutting a
being
rug.
humbled.
Yeah.
Finding humility and
Yeah.
not doing good
Yeah.
and still being okay after.
Yeah.
Right? Like so,
You can even make people laugh whenever you get humbled too. You can just be like, "Well, you guys clearly think my discomfort is more better than my joke." So,
right,
yay! But at least, okay, I will tell you my worst joke just for the sake of it. So it starts off. I watch a lot of pornography. Do you watch some pornography?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I gotta ask. Do you also watch with the subtitles on?
No, never.
Okay.
I mean, most of the pornography I watch is muted.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's pretty interesting. I watch with the subtitles on because I want to know what the animals are saying. So.
Oh shit!
Sorry.
Cheers to that, dude.
It's bad that this joke makes me laugh more than anybody else.
Has your mom ever heard the joke?
Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
She's seen your set. Your mom knows this joke?
Yeah. My mom knows this joke.
Holy mother cow, dude!
Yeah. So I the first night I was back in Chicago, one of my family friends was like, "Oh, he does comedy," and I was like, "No."
Oh, they made you did this joke in front of your family?
Yeah, because it's like a dinner party, and they're like
all Indians?
yeah, and they're all they're very well dressed and drinking wine. I was like, "Do a joke for us," and I was like,
That's the one you did?
It's like I'm leaving.
This is a bad idea.
My dad was just like, "Wait, is he gonna do what I think he's gonna do?" Rajiv, don't do it. Don't do it, please.
Don't do it.
And I was like, I'm sorry, this is the only thing I've got. Oh, yes, please.
One last one?
One last one. That
Break
is a
your-
very,
break your
very
fast.
Yeah, for a very good reason. For a good cause. Oh, yes, please.
Go a little heavy on.
Mm-hmm.
You want more?
I'll have a little bit more. I ain't shy.
There you go, dude.
Thanks. Yeah. Something that's
Probably gonna be your heaviest pour for
Yeah.
sure.
I don't mind that at all. Cheers.
Cheers, dude.
Cheers, man. I don't know. I think like I'm gonna say I definitely recommend more people like live abroad for a few years.
Dude, I think traveling is especially for young people, traveling is probably the most important, influential thing you can do in your life. To see other people, how they live, how other cultures function, how other governments function,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's so important just
On every level.
to broaden your horizons, broaden your perspective of life,
Yeah.
So like for me, like one of the most important things that I did in my life was going to India, and experiencing a fully different environment, as a 17-year-old.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
You grew up in the U.S. and you have your understanding of what that is and what American life is, and then
Right.
go to a totally different place and have
All of that blown apart.
all of that blown apart, and I think when you travel, you, in a sense, you appreciate what you have,
Yeah.
and you appreciate the differences. And you respect differences of different cultures
There is
and
such a
different styles
variety.
of life, and such a variety.
Yeah. There's such a variety in like the number of possible experiences a human being can have, and even within a certain culture, like a number of reactions that you can have to those cultural experiences. If that makes sense, if you,
Mhm.
you know, but like, I'm just painting in broad strokes here. But yeah, it's not just traveling, but living in another place for an extended period of time and coming back.
Yeah, traveling is too short. You know, like if you just spend the weekend or a
Yeah.
week or 2 weeks, even it's just it's not enough time
Right.
to really get deep
Hmm.
into that experience. You know?
Right.
So
Because like you know, like I said at the beginning, I think I'm not like a fully religious person, but I'm not an atheist either. But like there is that Christian adage, right? Get thee out of thy father's home.
mhm.
That does speak to me. Yeah, the better you, the more you entrench yourself in another person's culture, right? You've come back with something. You might not know what that is, you might not be able to say what it is, but like I went home again in January for like the first time in 5 years, and I'm just a guy. Like I don't see myself as like a special anything. I'm just another person. And I found that I was so much more personable, so much more open, so much more like happy, and so much more open to just making random conversation with people. When I was 25 and I was in Chicago, I was like, I was, you know, described by others as like an intelligent, nice person and all that. Just not very personable, very stiff, shy, awkward, this and that. After failing at open mics, after doing teaching to kids who don't know a lick of English, right? After talking to people who've had different experiences that are wildly different from mine, right? And yet, like, we can bond over something as simple as like comedy or like watching the same jokes or playing D&D together or this and that. I found that after going home for the first time in 5 years, I was like so much more of like a person that you could talk to. Whereas like when I was 25, I was just like very insulated, like very, very, very much in my shell, you know? I think we all come away with something. Some people just kind of, I don't know if you can say what that is. You know what I'm saying? I hope it doesn't sound like a hippie, but like, but
No, but the most important thing that a human can do in their life is to get experience, right? Experience at work, experience at school, experience at communicating, experience at traveling,
sure.
right? And everything that you experience is either going to be beneficial or not
Yeah.
to you. And most of the experience that we have in our life are beneficial experience. And traveling and living in a different culture, there might be some negatives, but I think overall the positive parts of that
Yeah.
are going to be more beneficial to you to your soul, to your personality, to your thought process than not.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I wanted to ask you before we finish this up. You mentioned that D&D just now. Mm-hmm. Did you get into D&D here in China, or you used to play it back at home?
I used to play it at home, and then here I decided I would DM for my friends.
So you used to not DM in the States?
No,
So-
I went in blind. So I just.
But you used to play Magic,
I used to play Magic. Yeah.
Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
So I'm a big Magic the Gathering
Oh man,
fan.
it's so cool.
When did you start playing? What year?
So I started playing in 2015, 2016. So that was like Magic Origins. That was the set that came out at that time.
Magic Origins.
That 2015, I think.
2015.
That was like the end of the Dragons of Tarkir, and then Magic Origins.
So
came
is
out
it,
after
okay,
that.
so I started playing Magic in 1995. Revised.
Damn. Oh man. Holy shit.
You know,
Okay. That's dope as hell, dude. When did you stop? Like, did you stop?
So I'll tell you this quick history of him. So my father used to work in the computer game industry.
Okay, yeah.
So he was working at this company, and one of the game designers, he played Magic, and he's the one that introduced me to Magic. I was 15 at the time, so it was just the revised version was just out. It was before. I think Arabian Nights. What was after Arabian? Do you remember what was after Arabian Nights? Antiquities.
I'm not sure.
I think it was Antiquities, Arabian Nights, Antiquities. It was kind of like those sets were just dropping.
Yeah.
But revised was still.
Yeah.
This was before 4th edition or 5th edition. I'm not even sure what edition it is now. So I started buying cards at that time, and I had some really good cards. And then around 17, he offered to the game designer, he wanted to buy my cards.
No way.
So I sold them for like $100.
Dude, that's awesome though.
It's not good.
Yeah.
I mean, all those cards are worth much more now than $100.
Okay, well, yeah.
You know?
But you've made like Magic cards.
No, I didn't make Magic cards.
Yeah.
I sold my Magic cards
sold
to a hustler.
Oh, okay.
You
I was
know?
a bit confused.
You know?
That's still kind of cool.
But so, anyways, for me at the time it was good.
Yeah.
Right? So then I didn't play Magic for a long time. And then in 2001, I moved to Seattle. Mm-hmm. So, and I was applying for a job. Mm-hmm. There was a job in I was looking for like a graphic design job. So I applied for a job, I had an interview. And I usually I didn't know, I just moved to Seattle and I didn't know the area very well. So I was like, I want to go like 2 hours early to find the place and just chill out. Yeah. You know? So I went 2 hours early to this place. I found the location. And in the process of finding the location, I found Wizards of the Coast Gaming Center. And I was just like, what the fuck is this? You know, because old Magic player, right?
Right.
Richard Garfield. I love Richard Garfield's games.
Right.
I even met Richard Garfield, the creator of Magic.
You did?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So part of the collection that I sold to my the game designer, I had signed cards by Richard Garfield, the creator of Magic. You know? Anyways.
That's awesome, man.
So I was like, fuck, what is this? You know, like, so like I went inside and it was like a two floor building. So the first floor, they had like a main lobby. On the left side, they had like a cafeteria, fast food, pizzas, burgers, fries, right? Yeah. On the right side, it was a game store. So you could buy all like board games, card games, right? A lot of mostly Wizards of the Coast product. Yeah. But then you go downstairs, and it was just this huge room. So one corner of the room was like a bunch of this is 2002. So you're probably 2002. How old are you?
Oh man, I was 9 years old.
So you were fucking 9 years old, right?
Yeah,
2002.
yeah.
So I was like, one side of the room was fucking all these like linked PCs, right, to play games. Yeah. A big section was just like empty tables. Yeah. Oh, most of it was empty tables. Where they said people just playing card games, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't even think Yu-Gi-Oh was around that. Pokemon. Yeah. Right. Whatever the fuck card game was. Right. It wasn't just Magic, but Magic was obviously like the big push there. Right. And I was like, holy shit. Like, you know, like I'm here for this job interview. And I was just like, I just entered
Nerd heaven.
Yeah. You know, I didn't have any, I had 0 cards at the time, you know, because I retired from the game. Yeah. You know? And then I was just like, fuck, dude, this is like so cool. Like, and I didn't have, fuck, dude.
That's all right.
Who the fuck is it?
It's such a, as a game, it allows for so much creativity.
Dude, it's definitely one of the most influential games of my life. Yeah. And I was like, fuck, like, so like eventually like I met some people there. I was just like talking, and then I didn't get the job that I was interviewing for, but then the next week I got another job that was even better. So I eventually got a job, and I was making really good money for my age.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any money in my pocket at the time.
Right.
So I called my dad. I said, Dad, like, I want to buy a box of Magic cards. It was like $120 or something, right?
Right.
Can you buy it for me? And he's like, here's the money for it. So it was like Nemesis or something like that. I think it was the expansion. This is before your time.
This is before much before my time.
Much before your time. I don't even know all the cards that you.
Yeah.
You know.
But Nemesis does stand out because like I play Commander, so everything's legal almost. So I think I've heard that set. Heard of that set.
Yeah, it was definitely much before. When did you start playing? 2015? 15. Yeah, it was 10 years difference.
Oh man.
You know, of more than 10 years difference.
How many cards must have been printed in that time between like 2002?
You know?
Thousands, tens of thousands.
Yeah. So fucking like, I got the good job. I bought a box of whatever their latest expansion was.
Yeah.
I started going to Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah.
And started playing. I was making really good money at the time.
Yeah.
So I started buying every single old card I ever had. So I bought all my revised collection. Like the way I look at my Magic cards now, like it's probably worth like $40,000 US. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of like my secret retirement, like rainy day fund.
Oh my God.
I have everything except for like the Power 9.
Power 9?
Power 9 is like Mox Diamond, Black Lotus.
Oh, okay,
yeah. Time Walk.
Yeah,
There's like
those,
nine cards. So I have everything but
those cards.
that, you know.
Wow.
So
that is
like,
amazing.
So I have like 50 like original dual lands. You know. They're worth like what, 500, 600.
Yeah, those are each like hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. So it's just like, and I play with them. It's like I don't treat them like in a case. Like I play with them. They're all beat up. You know, like they're all my. So basically, like before I came to China, I basically have like 2 boxes like this, right? Mm-hmm. And it's probably like 8 decks in each box, and they're like 8 super refined decks.
Yeah.
From the mid 2000s.
Oh.
Plus, like the revised.
Stuff. Oh stuff. Man.
So every single deck has dual lands. Every single deck has like demonic tutors, right? Mox diamonds.
That's
soul rings.
If everything goes to shit, you can just sell all of that and be like, I'm good.
That's my rainy day. That's like my like get out of jail card.
Nice.
You know, like if I ever have problems.
That is dope.
You know, that's my. So it's just, and sometimes I really want to like bring them to China, just to play. Like I'm not a collector. I don't want to fucking
get back into collecting.
I'll never buy Magic cards again.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like this is not my phrase. This is our friend Sean's phrase. Crack cocaine for your fingers is what I've heard him say, and I haven't heard a truer description. It is an addiction because I play Commander with my friends.
I don't even know what Commander is.
It's 100 cards. You have one creature, which is like one card that's your commander, your general, and the other cards are just like exist to serve like a win condition strategy, right? So basically, it's just a collection of cards.
But only have one creature.
Yeah, so like you have one commander. The other 99 are just
not creatures.
Are like lands and then
spells.
Other spells that you will use to like win the game. So creatures, instant sorceries, and
so you have other creatures.
Yeah, you have other creatures as well. But your commander is like the theme of your deck. So like it's so like if you have like a black-white commander that specializes in like life drain, all your other cards are just life drain cards, and it's just like.
Yeah,
it gets nuts.
I've never heard of Commander.
It gets nuts. Look it up. It gets nuts.
So what I used to do, right? So
it
like
costs so much.
When I met my friends in Seattle, All right. We used to like we never built tournament decks like as
Yeah.
far as like trying to, but what we did we played multiplayer. All of our decks are based on multiplayer.
Yeah.
So we'd have like 3, 4, 5, 6 people, 7 people, like all
Yeah.
play, and then you choose like who you want to fight and who you want, and you need to build a deck that could like deal with many people and keep you alive and fuck over as many people as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
So like all of our like there's a big difference between like dueling decks, like when you're just going one on one with somebody,
Yeah.
as opposed to trying to outlive 6 or 7 people. But sometimes we would play like general. I don't know if you know this format.
No.
So general was like it was 3 people on 3 people,
I played a format like that.
right? So
Yeah.
like the general could like pass the creatures either to the left or to the right,
You can give other people your
right?
stuff.
And
Yeah.
then the spells, when you cast a spell, you could only cast a spell 2 players away.
Yeah.
So like you have the general, right? If I was the general, I'd have a lieutenant here. So I either could cast a spell on either one of my lieutenants or one of the enemy lieutenants.
Mm-hmm.
So I have like a fireball or a lightning bolt. Or I cast it. But once the lieutenant dies, or one of them dies, then the general could start casting on the general. Right? So like you
Yeah.
have a wall to break.
Yeah.
So once one
I've
lieutenant
played-
dies, and then like your lieutenant can start attacking the general.
Right. So the 2 lieutenants can only fight each other, or
Right.
and once one of them dies, they can hit the general.
Right.
Okay.
So we used to play that a lot too.
I like that. I've played a format that's almost exactly like that once, and man, I got blown out of the fucking water.
So like all my decks are based like they're dude. If I could bring my cards and show you, they're ridiculous.
Man.
I mean, maybe not for. I
No.
I don't know what the last 15 years of Magic has done, but for that time, my decks were like,
Really good.
besides the Power 9, yeah, they're like
man.
the best,
Bro.
So-
They're probably still really good though, because like I think the past 15 years of Magic, they've introduced like tons of new mechanics.
Yeah, I don't know any of these new
Yeah.
mechanics,
But like some of them are inventive and creative, and others are just kind of maybe a bit redundant. But I think
You have your Magic cards here in Shenzhen?
I have I brought a bunch to Shenzhen, and then
Is there a group that plays or not?
I mean, like me and my work buddies. So like yeah.
Like
So-
you play with decks or?
Yeah. So we play with like 100 card commander decks
Okay.
and stuff. You should play with us.
Yeah, I'd love to, man.
Yeah,
If
you
you have
should-
an extra deck for me, I'd love to try it out.
100%. You can. I mean, like I'll just give people my deck because like my deck is just like a black-white deck that just specializes in like
Swamps and plains.
swamps and plains. I just take a creature, I kill the creature for a benefit, I bring the creature back, and I kill it again for a benefit and stuff like that. So like,
Do you guys ever do boosters? Like,
yeah, there's another group here that does drafting.
I love drafting.
It's so much fun.
You play like I would join like honestly like I'm not interested in no offense.
No, fair enough.
I'm not interested in playing your decks because
Yeah.
like part of the most beautiful part of Magic is creating your own deck.
Yes,
Right?
it feels personal to you.
You know, and when
Yeah.
you play someone else's deck, it's fun, but it's not like
It's not yours.
it's not the same feeling.
It's not the same feeling. Yeah.
But I love like I love drafting because it's. I was very privileged. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say privileged. It's fucking such a dumb word. I was very lucky
It's an abused word, but yeah.
when I was getting back into Magic because I was working at a good job and I can afford. I basically spent. I had no other life besides like hanging out with my friends and playing Magic. It was
Yeah.
like work and playing Magic. That was my Seattle life. And like, dude, we used to play Magic like almost every night. Like my house was like the place to play. I had like a group of like 10 friends, and maybe like 5 or 4 were always available,
Yeah.
and they'd all come to my house. I would go to work, come back, and the same guys that were playing the night before
Yeah.
were still in my house playing cards. You know, like
It sounds like so much fun.
dude, it was dude. Dude, it was such an amazing, like, it was so cool to like get back into Magic and get back into gaming at that time, and being so young. I was like 20, 21, like is very influential time of a young man's life, and I was able to dedicate it to work and focus on that, and dedicate it to gaming.
Yeah.
You know, and it wasn't like video games or antisocial activity. It was very like
a social gaming thing. Yeah,
it was a social gaming thing. We used to fucking just smoke weed.
Yeah.
Fucking play Magic until 4 a.m.
Right.
I'd go to sleep. They would fucking sleep on the sofa or sleep on the floor or go home, or I'd come back home. There's still a few people there playing.
Just keep playing.
You know, it was like, it was just like, and it was like, it was such a good group of guys too. It wasn't like, there wasn't anyone shady or anyone fucking
nice,
like,
man.
It was just like,
it's one thing I can say for those kinds of activities that everybody says like, oh, you're a bit of a dweeb or whatever. I've never heard of like a D&D person or a Magic the Gathering person or a Warhammer person being like some sort of skeevy, shady person. I every time I've played with somebody, Magic the Gathering wise or like with D&D, they've been lovely. All of those hobbies have always given me so much in terms of like the social connection that I crave. Regarding those hobbies, I've always like found people who are really nice.
right.
I've always had the good fortune of finding nice people to play with. That's one thing I'm very thankful about regarding Magic, especially because like Magic is one of those games where the social connection is actually as important as the game.
I mean, that's. I think that's the reason why we play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only is it a game.
If it wasn't for that social connection, we would not be playing it.
Right. Yeah.
It's you're playing a fun game with people you like.
Right. Yeah.
And most people you play with, you have a good experience with.
Right. And the game is amazing. That's the cherry.
And the game is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I went through that Seattle phase, and I kind of slowed down after that, and then I went through another phase where after I left Seattle and went back home for a while, where the Seattle phase was like all multiplayer, smoking joints and like community setting.
Right.
And then I moved back to my hometown, and I tried to find like the Magic community again, but the Magic community I found were tournament players.
Oh.
So like that was a whole different switch. So I played like my first DCI tournament. Is that the right DCI?
I think so. I'm not sure actually.
So it was like the official Magic tournaments. Where you have like they have tournaments all over, and then the best winners from there play in the regionals, and then the best regionals play in the nationals, and the best nationals play in the world or whatever. Yeah. Right. So I started going to the region. You
started to compete.
I started to compete.
Damn.
And that's the.
How was it?
It was not. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun to like travel and go to these different cities and try it. But it was not as fun as like smoking J's.
With your friends.
Playing with your friends and drinking beers and shit talking all night.
That's kind of how I felt about like Smash as well.
It's a different beast. Yeah. Same game, but different feeling.
Different feeling, yeah.
So I much preferred the Seattle Knights.
Yeah.
So I tried a few of those tournaments.
Yeah.
I finished in like the top 50. Of like 300, 400 people.
Right.
I probably could have like, if I would have committed to doing it.
Right.
But after like 3 or 4 times, it was like.
Decided that you wanted more of
it's not like the duels experience where you're just like, I just need to cut you down as fast as possible was not as interesting to me as like, we have fucking 6 people. We're just gonna play. We're gonna play a game of Magic for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Drink some good beer. Or have some good talk and.
Yeah, that sounds like much more fun.
It's much more fun, dude.
Much more fun. And like, that's how I feel about, it's an analogous experience, but a different game, like Smash Brothers. There's like a huge competitive Smash Brothers community. And like at Crafthead, especially during the pandemic, me and my friend Austin, a guy who's now not an expat, he's back in the US, like we made a Super Smash Brothers night on Sunday nights, like a tournament night.
I remember.
Yeah.
I saw some posters about it.
Yeah. Sean made like posters about it. And I was like the person that people had to talk about like
to sign up or whatever.
Yeah. And I hated that role because I was just like, I just wanted to play with my friends. So along came another expat named Jacob, and a good friend of mine, really nice guy. And he made that event an event because he knew how to make that event into an event.
Oh, I see.
And he was a very social person,
Right.
a very affable, amiable person. And he turned that event from like a competitive Smash night into, hey, everybody, come Sunday night, Monday we got to start work again. Just let loose a little bit and have fun. Get some beers, play. And I much preferred that format, that event, to what me and my friend Austin had in mind, which was just like, we're going to play Smash. And I was like, wait, what Jacob has in mind is much better because it's like we're all just getting a few beers and just like playing and all talking and hanging
Just
out.
chilling.
Right. That was such a good thing. I feel so strongly about like what you're saying with the Seattle nights. Like it's so much better because in the long run, with these games, like I used to be a competitive gamer, but honestly, I don't really remember all the tournaments I went to for Smash. I remember all the people I played with. That's what's important to me. Like the people I like, oh, this dude's a cool dude. I remember playing with him. And he also happens to have like a really sick deck that he's working on. Right. But he's a cool dude. And that's what I remember, And that's, I think when it comes to gaming, everybody gets, that's why gaming is such a beautiful thing. But like, for me, the social aspect is paramount, of paramount importance. Like you just gotta, if I'm not doing it with anybody else, I don't want to do it.
Right.
So it's unfortunate because like that's why I also never really got into things like RuneScape or things like that because I just never cared about the technicalities of games like the strategies and things like that, leveling up and constantly grinding. Like that's not my way. I just like being around other people. But yeah,
for me, like I'd much rather like to make a tournament deck was such a different mentality.
Yeah,
to make a deck that
it's optimized,
that you need to like last. It is also like when you play with your friends and there's a big group of people playing. Yeah, most of it's like political too.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
There's like the shit talk and the banter, like I don't have enough to like take you out, but I have something to fuck with you if you try to like come my way. Yeah. So maybe you should go his way. Right. Right. But like when you play with like tournament, it's like you're just optimizing your deck just to, which it's not to knock it, but like you're just optimizing your deck to, I need to kill this person the fastest possible. Yeah. Right. And which is a totally different kind of deck than I'm playing with 6 people and I just need to be able to last until I build up what I need to do to fucking wreck the table. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's much more of a politics.
It's a build up. It's like a slow, it's like you're brewing something. Right. Like when you play with a big group, you're brewing something, and if you're lucky to have enough time to brew, then you become a powerful force. Right. As opposed to like, I just need to make something that's just
a machine.
Yeah. I need to whack the weeds. Right. As quick as possible.
Yeah, those formats are very much about like optimization and like making sure that you create an opportunity for yourself to capitalize on later and things like that. It feels like a math problem. Yeah. Whereas like the more social game aspect of Magic is so much more fun.
Dude, I'd love to someday. I hope you can see my decks, dude.
Oh, for sure,
because they're beautiful decks.
I will definitely show you mine, man.
Yeah, I'd love to see it because I have no idea I stopped playing seriously probably 2006. That's
Okay.
probably the last cards I've seen.
Okay, yeah. I know some of the cards from that era.
So,
Like I know some of those cards, and I think that the Ravnica cards must have come like maybe a few years after.
Ravnica was before.
Wait.
Ravnica, I have a lot of cards from Ravnica.
Oh, okay. So which ones am I thinking of?
Because Ravnica had like Urza's Revenge.
Yeah. I remember those. Yeah.
But
Okay,
that was like 2003, 2002 maybe.
Okay, I'll have to check which one I'm thinking about because like maybe we were talking about the same thing. Yeah, so yeah, okay, maybe Ravnica did come before because they've had like a few returns, like
Some of the names return.
yeah, some of the names returned. Yeah, okay, cool.
But
Yeah,
fucking magic, dude.
yeah, man. That's another thing. Like social things here is just so much more fun. You know, gaming like D&D is something that I've long wanted to turn into like a formal event that people like come into and like spectate, but I've never managed to do it. I've had like a couple campaigns here, just with friends.
Dude, we will close the podcast with this, man.
Sure.
I'm not a fan of D&D,
Yeah.
but if you can make a character for me that can just show up for one night,
Okay.
and dip out, and maybe show up on another night and
A
dip out,
recurring
right?
character?
But yeah, like a recurring, maybe come back, maybe doesn't.
I have an idea actually for somebody like that.
I would definitely come to play D&D because, as I told you before, like I'm
Like
a
Call
of Cthulhu player.
Yeah.
I don't like long campaign role playing. I like short.
Like dungeons and
I like
that's it.
like mini stories, you know.
Yeah.
I just like
short
small stories.
like Lovecraftian stuff.
But if you do that, if you can make that kind of character for me,
I
you
actually
give
do
me a
have an
secret
idea.
agenda. You know,
I
like
actually
fuck
do-
with this guy or do something like this or like, you know, something that your core campaign doesn't know.
As it so happens, I actually do have an idea for you.
I'd love to
I'll
join.
message you.
You tell me when. I'll come.
Okay, cool.
As long as I'm available that day, I'll fucking come.
I usually do it.
But don't ask me to roll the character or do nothing. Just give me a character sheet that's already pre-made.
Okay, I can do that.
You know, like I show up.
Nice.
Cheers, dude.
Cheers,
Man, it's a pleasure, dude.
It's
For a
real
long
pleasure.
time,
Thanks.
I've wanted to talk about Krishna and
Oh, man.
Hinduism
Yeah.
and gaming, comedy.
Yeah,
That's
man.
all the things I love, dude.
These are all me too. Like, and I haven't had a conversation about Hinduism in a long time. So yeah,
So
thank you for having me
appreciate
on.
it, dude.
Appreciate it. And that Jane is awesome.